up in paradise, I suppose. If you will tell me I'm the only one that you love, life could be a dream, sweetheart. Hello, hello again. Making a move, life could be a dream. If I could take you up in paradise, I suppose. If you will tell me I'm the only one that you love, life could be a dream, sweetheart. Hello, hello again. Hello, me again. Oh,
Tire marks, finish line with the fire marks. When it really starts, I'm a runaway slave. Master, shitting on the past, gotta spit it like a pastor. After basher, deal like dough, like dasher, faster, motorbike faster. And you gotta get a bitch, watch for my rapture. White bitch girl, about to blow like the wind. Penthouse chill, rooftop at the wind. When I win, when I win, I win. No, when I win, I'm leg up like Shin. Got hoes on call, got hoes on call to come through, take a protocol. Just damage it, that's my protocol. Just many Australians on Slauson, no camera, I don't care who you are. No kind of rap, gotta give it to you raw. Pitchfork point, you can pass me the joint, gotta twist his feet, I'ma spring my joint. Straight crack rock, roll till it pop, pop, boom on. Trigger rap city, no tigger, yeah, shorty do it illa. I'm roll, no digger, what's my motherfucking name? It's Iggy, not Jigger, don't compare me to her, throw the bitch in the ditch. Rough, rough, poke, hit the bitch, I'm big. So the game up, staple up in a stitch. Click, click, power drugs, game my click. Look at my heels, LV on it. Ignorant art, everybody on it, everybody want it. 666, got a 3-car garage driveway, be the omen. Boss like Cohen, hate me, cause beats are in 3D. Can't see me, pockets better than the H3. I don't see you like Mace me. D-R-U-G-S click, oh, and we on. Hater, on these hoes heads, no activator. Post fucked up when he activated. Cause I'm going down with my hand raised. About to smack, smack, smack to my hand cave. On the bitch made, honey, I'm paid. I'ma get laid, fucking man cave. You act like you real, be real. So son, kinda spaced out, you bitches be ducking. Better than your girl at the best, make a competition rest. Unless it's sex, no less. I'ma fuck the whole game, I'm best. With my strap on, my vibrator, about to bust around.
Scars. I'll brush you off just like the dust upon my shoulder. I have a hunch of who you are. Believe it or not, I got the strength to blow you over. I'm a hurricane, I'm bringing thunder and rain. I'm a hurricane if you get in fucking week.
Aren't young people funny? Hello. Oh, God. Who are these people who come in and then go out while it's like, I'm not going to be long. Good evening. How y'all doing? It's Friday. Y'all have got to get down on Friday. Because we're all getting ready for the weekend and sup. What's up? You know when you used to cut. We need to bring that back. Well, that's been 20 years old. That can be retro, can't it? What's that? But you got to do it for like 20 seconds, like that. You know. Don't know what any of that means, Black Panther, but you whatever, bro. No, not Bud. Forget Bud, you know. Evening, Phil. You see, if you're going to try and troll right away, you know, you can't even get. I mean, you know, you couldn't even spell it right first time. That's just, you know, I mean that's beyond tragic, you know. How's life? Pretty good actually, not bad. It's been a bit yeah, I've been a bit tired this week. Been a bit I've had a bad back the last couple of weeks. That's entirely my fault because I keep falling on me. I went to a skate park last week and tried going on what's called a pump track, which was a lot harder than I thought, and immediately went straight off on my arse, and I mean back aches a bit. You know. But my day's been good, you know. Finished 3 pints, came home. What's wrong with you? 3 pints? What's wrong with you? You're a puff or something? 3 pints. So I said I couldn't finish 3 pints. 3 pints, I'd be fucking annihilated. I wouldn't be. I'd be unconscious for a fucking week. It's nothing to do with being old, mate. I do to be fair. I do more. I'm more active and more sort of do more stuff with that I do nowadays than I did when I was 20, which is ironic because a lot of me doesn't work anymore. It's nothing to do with that. It's just I'm conscious of the fact that I am I'm conscious of the fact that I am 40 years old, and I can't probably I can't take as many knocks to me back and me hip as I could do if I was 20. But then so RNC. The RNC was bearing in mind, I'm a guy, I spent 10 days in a psychiatric hospital earlier this year, and the RNC was still the most mental thing that I fucking saw this year. So, but what were you expecting, really? I mean, I'm alright, Alex. I can't. I mean, I'm just like I quit drinking very young. I quit drinking when I was like 21 years old, and 21 or 22, and then I didn't drink for like, you know, I didn't have another drink till I was like in me early to mid 30s, and I just got no tolerance whatsoever. Just, you know, you talk about the intolerant left. I have no tolerance for. If beer was Muslims, I'm the Pat Condell of alcohol, you know. Why was I in a psych ward? Well, what do you think? Alex, do you not pay attention, mate? I'm going through all this shit again. Because I needed to, you know. And it was the right thing to do. I've come since I've been out. I've been much better, you know. And by the way, I'm not wearing trousers. Just t-shirt and pants today. I couldn't be bothered. I couldn't find my shorts. If this bothers any of you, sorry. No, just apologise, mate. It's just, you know. That was then. This is now, bruv. So if this bothers anyone, you have to fucking. You have to fucking live with it. Do you reckon I should be one? Dude, what the fucking... How the fuck should I know? I'm not a fucking doctor. Dude, that's not a question I can answer. It's not my fuck... It's not, you know, it's your fucking brain, mate. I'm not a fucking... I'm not a doctor. Must be silly questions like that, you wally. I was well proud earlier. I was on a call with an American friend of mine, and they mentioned, they said they were doing something at 2:30, and I did the old that's when a Chinese man goes to the dentist. Has Boris Johnson done anything lately? I don't fucking know. He hasn't done anything ever. Is his problem, isn't it? Don't come to me for the fucking news, mate. I'm fucking. I've given up fucking... I've got no faith in any of these people left, you know. So now, Alex, are you mocking? You know, are you taking the piss now? You know. Only you would have voices in your head that are more rational than you. The dentist. Was it called The Dentist when you was it called The Dentist when you downloaded it? To be fair, I mean, it should have been quite obvious at some point, you know, before it got too before it got too fucking weird, that you should have, like, you know. What are you talking about? I don't fucking know, mate. Nick, you've been here before. Have a day off, you know. It won't take you long to work out, you know. Yeah, but Alex, you have this... It's because, Alex, you have this obsession with being weird. You think it makes you interesting, or you think you need to be... And because you keep talking about it, but it doesn't, mate. It doesn't make you... You know, it's like you're trying to hide something, you know. Because guess what? People who are really crazy, you know, people who are really mad, they don't go around fucking throwing it around like that, you know. Who do I find more unlikable? I mean, you're asking me a silly question there, mate. I mean, that's... I mean, what does it matter? I mean, I don't... Neither of them are likable on any level. Really. I mean, you're asking me, do I want cancer in my left testicle or my right? I mean, it's a moot point. It wouldn't even matter if I did find them likable. You could still, you know, if they're still wrong about everything. Do I rate Lee Hurst? He's all right. I mean, to be honest, I haven't seen much of him. Like, he's you know, in recent years, he's become a bit of a fucking, you know, he's gone pretty right wing, politically. But I've never seen his. But you know, he did. You know, I remember him when he was like on. Have I got news for you? That's okay. I mean, rate him. I mean, he's you know, he's done very well for himself. But I don't put him in any. I don't put him in any. I wouldn't put him in any top. You know, thing. But you know, you don't have to be, do you? You know. Do you? All my streams are super fun, happy streams. Yeah. I mean, I'm not here. You know, I mean, as far as finding people likable, I'm not here to be I'm not here to be friends with anyone. You know, there's lots of people who I like, who I disagree with a lot. There's people who I fucking hate, who I agree with quite a lot. You know, it's but that doesn't mean anything. That's not why I'm here. So he didn't do that. Yeah, he was on They Think It's All Over. You know, and but he's got he has a good club. You know, I've done his club before, the Leo's Backyard. It's a nice little club, you know. It's not a new hairdo. It's just I've tied it up, you know. New sub. Love your dead man shoes. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a good video. You know, it's fucking. I didn't realise how many fucking views that thing had fucking got since it was up to. It was closing on. I think it was over 60,000 last time. You know. I was like, I wish I could do more. I wish I could write. My next, actually, I've got a video I should be uploading this month because I've been writing this one for nearly a year, and it's that sort. It's like the one I did with Dead Man Shoes, but it's for the film Nil by Mouth, and I've been working on that one for a while, but I've nearly finished the script for that one. Who is someone I dislike but I agree with? Too many. I'm not going to name people, mate. It just fucking causes drama, and I'm not interested, because some of those people would, you know, because what happens is then people go and tell them, oh, Coughlin mentioned you in this fucking scene, and then they come over and fucking, and then they go and take clips of it as if, you know, and it's like, I don't care to name people. It doesn't matter who I like and dislike. It's irrelevant. Like I said, I'm not here to make friends with people. You know, if I do, great. Yeah, Nil by Mouth is a fucking, you know. Nil by Mouth. It's Nil, not Neil. Nil by Mouth. Nil by Mouth is a film came out in 1997, starring. It was the first ever film. It was written and directed by Gary Oldman. It was his first piece. It starred Ray Winstone, Kathy Burke, a lot of people who you recognise, a lot of actors who you recognise now. But it's a very sort of it's what's called a kitchen sink drama. It's not really a story as such. It's not got an arc or whatever. It's like one of those. It's a voyeuristic look at the sort of brutal, harsh realities of living in, you know, in a borderline destitute state of affairs. You know, there's it's and Kathy. I mean, Ray Winstone and Ray Winstone and Kathy Burke are fucking. You know, I mean, this was a £9 million budget film, and Ray Winstone and Kathy Burke were in it, and they both won the Best Actor and Actress awards at the Cannes Film Festival. That's how fucking good they were, you know. But I mean, in that film, there's the scene at the end, which you'll probably know, Medieval Folk Dance. The scene where she's like finally stands up to Ray. I can't get through that without. I just lose it every time. Have I seen Terrifier? I've seen Terrifier before. You know, I've seen Terrifier before. The only reason I sort of add it up there recently, I mean, the sequel's coming out. That should be fun. But yeah, it does. It's just absolutely, you know, and it's amazing because, like, you know, she's just so, she's the most sympathetic. You know, it's the most sympathetic performance, and then when she gives that monologue, you feel bad for feeling sorry for her because she's sick of it. She says, "I'm sick of people feeling fucking sorry for me." Yeah, that line, I'm 30 today and I feel so fucking old. And the other line which he goes, I'll find someone who can love me, someone kind. And you're like, oh God, that's fine. It's like, why ain't that enough for anyone? Shouldn't that like that's the bare minimum anyone like that? It's like we all want all these other things like that. That's it. She's broken that much. You just want someone who gives a shit, you know. But it's a colossal. What was the last video game I played? Well, I mean, the last video game I would have played was a long time ago. Well, it would have been sometime last year when I played. What's his name? I played Minecraft. It's the only game I've really played. Oh yeah, Gary Oldman's. I mean, Gary Oldman's incredible. I mean, Gary Oldman's always. I've always, for a long time, I've rated Gary Oldman as you know, one of the best actors ever. You know, I mean, he can do anything. And why do you think Condell? I don't know, mate. I don't give a shit. That's Condell's problem. I'm not going to watch him. What does it matter? You know, I think we're doing well enough without him. He's amazing in loads. I mean, he's amazing in almost everything. I mean, I can't think. I mean, even when he's like in a crap film, he's good. You know, I can't think of a time I've seen Gary Oldman. You know, he's one of those actors. Even when he's in a shit film, he's still good. But I was always a massive Ray Winston fan, and that sort of like, and Neil by Mouth sort of got me into it. Got me into sort of like, you know, Ray Winston and stuff. You know, there's another film as well which I'm gonna have. You know, this one's gonna be a difficult, even hard to write about. But it was made 2 years after. It was made 2 years after Nil by Mouth, and it was ironically it was the directorial debut of Tim Roth, and it starred Ray Winston and what's that woman's name? She was in. You know, she was in the. We need to talk about Kevin and I forget her name. She's quite odd looking, but like, you know, I can't remember her name now. Someone will mention it and think. But yeah, it's called Warzone, and it's and oh god, it's a fucking, and a lot of people ain't heard of it. Tilda Swinton, that's it, and a lot of people have not heard of this film, which you think would be like, considering like it was '99, Ray Winston. Fucking, you know, Tim Roth's directing, Tilda Swinton's in it, but it's the subject matter and it is a really, really fucking, you know, just gut wrenching and, you know, difficult. It's you know, it starts off very slow, but when it fucking it's difficult to fucking sort of describe. It's got the same level of sort of it's got that sort of brutality and just, you know, just you know, you know, that pain and the pain and the sort of, you know, anti-joy that Nil by Mouth has, but in a completely different way. Are any good films on Amazon? Well, fucking shitloads. What do you mean any good films on Amazon? Well, all of them, I imagine. You could fucking look up any film. Netflix, I mean, probably. I mean, I haven't been on Netflix. I haven't looked at. You know, I tend to mostly watch the documentaries. What's the one where he fucks his daughter? Yeah, that's Warzone, Dan. Thanks for just... Love, Honour, Obey. You know, Love, Honour, and Obey, I was in... You know, my mum... part of that was filmed in Canterbury. And my mum was working at Debenhams in Canterbury when Ray Winston and Bob Hoskins and all that lot were filming Love, Honour, and Obey. And my mum was like, you know, she was going to say, oh, I'll go on my lunch break to get an autograph for him because he's a big. Like, oh, well, they might be gone by then, and of course they were by then, you know. It's like, for fuck's sake, mum, you know. But one of my favourite stories of, like, you know, which sort of like sums up, you know, success in show business is how Ray Winston got his first. Because Ray Winston's first film was Scum, and do you know how he got? Do you want to know how he got the role in Scum? He went to this drama school. I can't remember what the name was, but he went to this like drama school, and because he was a working class oik and he didn't have elocution lessons and he didn't speak with a plum in his mouth, he was sort of subject to a lot of like, you know, he was sort of like singled out, and you know, there was a lot of snobbery in it, you know, sort of directed at him, and he tended to sort of like, you know, he tended to sort of lash out in various ways. And there was this one teacher in particular who had just kept pissing him off because he felt he was being picked on, and so Ray Winston went and stuck a load of nails in the tires of the geezer's car, and he got caught. And he was sent to the master's office. They explained it to him, and he was expelled. And they said he has to leave the college. Alan Clark, at that same moment, Alan Clark was in that drama school because he was looking for young men who might potentially be able to, you know, he might be able to use in the film Scum. And as Alan Clark is walking around the college, he sees Ray Winston leaving, like having just been expelled, and he just watched him straight, and he went, him. He just watched him and thought, I want him, you know. And that's how Ray Winston got the part in Scum. And I love stories like that. They're just fucking, you know. Oh, Danny John Jules is in it, yeah. Cover up them coal marks, you black bastard. Yeah, Mickey Pearce is in it. Phil Daniels is in it. God, there's loads of people in it. I mean, it's I did like the New It films, actually. I thought they were very good. I thought the second part wasn't. You know, the second part was, probably didn't live up to expectations. I didn't think it was that bad. And I've always said, you know, the fact at the end of the day, if you take Tim Curry out of that original version of it, it's this pile of shit. I mean, it's a really fucking boring, But I thought they did a good job of it. I think they approached it properly. They didn't try and remake. They didn't try. They got a guy who played Pennywise in his own way. They didn't try and fucking copy Tim Curry. They tried to make. I thought he did, and I thought some of the scenes, particularly like the scene at the start with Georgie when Pennywise is in the drain. I thought that was much better than the original one. Yeah, but that's not true, Brian, because the book, the TV show was fucking that long, but it didn't. Even that didn't even come close to covering the amount of stuff that was in the book. Do I like that because I recognise myself in that? Recognise myself what in do I? No, I don't recognise myself in that. I just love it when people. I just love it when things like that happen. It's like it sort of sums up. The thing about sort of like, I mean, it's probably life in general, but the thing about particularly with show business, if you want to play it, is obviously you've got to be good. Obviously you've got to work hard. You've got to put the time and the effort in. But at the end of the day, it comes down to luck. Luck will be the defining. Luck. Being in the right place at the right time. I could do a trading card series of the amount of fucking times I've missed something by this much, or someone turned up at a gig or something. I was just this, or I missed, I just wasn't there when something else was happening. It happens all the fucking time. But that's life, isn't it? Yeah, a lot of people get into a lot of people. It's funny. I mean, Aaron Paul. Aaron Paul has never taken an acting lesson in his life. Well, another one of my favourite ones is Oasis. How Oasis got signed. Like, Oasis were booked to do a gig at this venue in London. and they had to drive from Manchester. So they got a van, and they got a load of their mates in the van who were paying a tenner each for petrol. They drove all the way from Manchester down to London. And they got to the venue, and the guy said, "Sorry, you're not booked. You're not on." He's like, "Well, we are. We were booked for this. We were booked for to be on tonight." And he's like, "Well, you're not on the bill. We've got 3 bands booked. You're the 4th one that's turned up." And he's like, "Right. Well, let me put it this way. There's 12 of us in this van, and you've got 2 guys on the door. Either you let us in, let us play a couple of songs, or we will fuck this. We will come in there and fuck this bar up. Right? Or, we're gonna fucking come in here and we're gonna smash this place up." And they said, "Right, okay." And so they let him go on and play a couple of songs first. Alan McGee, who owned Creation Records, had just missed his train, and he had an hour to his next one. So he just thought, "I'll just pop to the nearest place, the nearest bar or place I can go and have a drink for an hour." And he happened to see Oasis, and he signed them. And he signed a 3-album deal on the basis of like 3 songs, which is all he'd written. And he was like, "Right," and Noel Gallagher's like, "Right, I was about to write some fucking songs then," It happens. I mean, that happens, mate. It's like but they could have easily just gone. They could have easily got. For all we know, it could have easily been a case of they just went okay, and they for whatever reason they just didn't get the gig, and they end up for all we know, Alan McGee might have signed one of the other bloody bands. We never know. You just probably a plane though. Well, I mean, it was a UFO. I mean, it probably was a plane, but if it's nighttime, so you can't see it. That's my favourite. That's one of my favourite like bullshit, fucking, like, job descriptions in the conspiracy community is UFO expert. I'm like, what do you mean UFO? Like, you're an expert when it comes to unidentified flying objects. So if I need, so when it comes to looking up in the sky, seeing something and not knowing what the fuck it is, you're the best. You're one of the best in. If I look up at the sky and I think I don't know what something is and I want confirmation. Yeah, I know we know it means under. Yeah, I know UFO means that, but it doesn't, does it? When people say UFO, people think alien spaceship. In fact, they tend not to. You'll find that they tend to use unidentified. They tend to use a different one. I think it's UPA or something like that. It's a different acronym because there's such a because people immediately when they hear UFO they do think. I know it's supposed to mean unidentified flying object, but the fact is it doesn't, does it? So what, they don't want to alienly probe me. God, I'll tell you what, they'll take me up there and they'll look at my underpants and they'll fucking bring me right back and they'll just chuck me straight back. They'll take one look at my underpants and think, fuck this. I did think I thought I saw a UFO once, and it was a and the reports that they want more right-wing type comedy. It's not that they want more right-wing type comedy. They always try. Here's the thing: the story was in the BBC. Like they always try to. When you look at shows like Have I Got News for You, they tend to sort of try and book people. But they have like a comedian. They've always got Hislop, Merton, the guest or whatever. But the thing is, first of all, there ain't that many sort of comedians who are sort of that who are right wing or conservative who do much material about it, and there's I know a few. There's Jeff Norcott. He's one of the most sort of prominent ones. You've got people like there's a guy called Henning Ven's a bit right of centre. But you've got other comedians who do that, but they tend the thing is this is why you tend to get people. They tend to book people who are like Jeremy Clarkson, or they'll book someone who's like a a media pundit or a disc jockey or a journalist or whatever, and there just aren't that many. There just aren't that many. That's just it. I mean, and of course they like to posit there's some kind of conspiracy. There ain't. There's no conspiracy. People don't fucking. If people make people laugh, you'll get booked. It doesn't matter why. Yeah, you get MP. I mean, it's not that it's not that you. I mean, you don't get. You don't think you can't get people who are more sort of conservative who aren't can't be funny or entertaining, or you can. I mean, there's a Giles Brandreth. I think is always quite he's always quite amusing. Even Boris Johnson. You go watch the old Have I Got News for You and Boris Johnson. He's a very very witty and funny guy. And you got Jeremy Clarkson can be as well. When he was on there, but and you got a few other people. There's a few James Whale. I always used to enjoy listening to. Jim Davidson, bald-headed comedian, who isn't it? Yeah, we were just talking about Lee Hurst, yeah. But tend to be. It's ironic if you go back to that era, like the old school working man's club comic. A lot of them most of them were conservative. Bernard Manning, Mike Reed, Jim Davidson, all of that lot. Stan Boardman. Fucking Bradley Walsh, all those, But what were they all doing jokes about? They were all doing jokes about, ethnic minorities and gays and women and fucking, and foreigners and my mother-in-law. And every single joke was based on the exact same fucking set of obvious... And none of the joke... And all the jokes are interchangeable, Chubby Brown. I will defend Chubby Brown, I can't fix my PayPal, JTC. I've been banned by PayPal. I know it rejects you, mate, because I've been banned from PayPal. Yeah, Kenny Everett was, but Kenny Everett didn't do comedy. And this is the thing. It's like you tend to find that the comedians who are more more conservative, they don't really do much material. They don't tend to do material about it. In fact, you'll find that a lot of the comedians, a lot of the comedians who are more left wing or who are more liberal are the ones who will do more material about they'll actually do material about it about the it's not a problem, mate. Yeah, I'm on a thing called Cash App. If you want to, if you're that desperate to send me money, you can do it through that. It's the easiest way. Is Cash App. Yeah, he had, he was good, Kenny Everett. I remember watching him when I was younger. Fucking Dennis Miller. Thing is about Dennis Miller, Dennis Miller's funny for all the wrong reasons. It's like he's like, but there are. Who's the other one? Liam Malone. He's we got Andrew Lawrence, who's a cunt. The thing is, you've got to look at. You've got to look at what different political positions tend to focus on, and what they consider important, and and what you can make jokes about. I mean, if you're more right wing, and you've got things, and you're making jokes about immigrants and refugees, or minorities, or women, or people who are gay or transgender, or you're mocking you're mocking various concepts. It's there's a lot of like, okay, well, you are sort of making fun of the fact that of things that are actually that are difficult to argue against in terms of like what are good ideas, what a decent Whereas like mocking people who are, whereas like making fun of people who are racist, or making fun of people who are, or of the of politicians, or making fun of certain, but it's a lot, it obviously one works a lot easier than the other. The best British comedians of all time. I would say Billy Connolly. Billy Connolly is the most naturally gifted stand-up comedian I've ever seen. The Rick Mail is the funniest human being who has ever lived. TheEnd.com. I would put Stuart Lee in there as well. Probably, oh god, there's so many great comedians out there who I put in different in so many different in so many different areas. I'd put probably Tim Vine. I'd put him in there. But it's different for a foreigner, I guess. No. See, here's the thing about stand. Here's the thing about Lee Evans is brilliant. I mean, Lee Evans is incredible. I think he's very underrated. He's very sort of underappreciated, a lot of what he's said, But I mean, he's been going for. I mean, Christ. I mean, he won the fucking. Rowan Atkinson. Oh no, definitely Rowan Atkinson. Yeah. Dude, there's like fucking 30 years worth of comedians. I could fucking It's difficult to Chris Morris, obviously, Peter Cook. I know you didn't just mean stand-up. I mean, like I said, obviously I'm just thinking, there's loads of great. I mean, I've been watching stand-up since I was 9 years old, mate. I mean, there's so many. Frankie Boyle makes you think. Well, it's not too difficult, Dan. I like Frankie Boyle, but yeah. That's not true at all, usually. In fact, the thing you'll find with comedy, the thing that I find, the thing that's kind of great about stand-up is stand-up comedy is one of the few industries, it's one of the few sort of careers where actually, being different, having something that makes you different from everyone is actually an advantage. Because it gives you a different, you can talk, you can, if you're like a foreigner, or you're an ethnic, you're an ethnic minority, or you're a religious minority, like you're Jewish, or you're Muslim, or you're Asian, or you're from a foreign country, or you're disabled, or a load of things, or you're gay or transgender. It actually, I used to book stand-up comedy clubs, and trust me, not people like comedians like me. I mean, what am I? I'm a straight white left winger who does jokes about, racists and Nazis. You can throw a hanky and find fucking 10 of me. There's fucking shitloads of me. There are loads of comedians who do essentially what I do. But if you've got that one thing that makes you stand out and different, it actually that the audiences are much more. They want to see that. No, but you would do. But yes, but that's the thing, mate. Those comedians do. Comedians will come over here, and that's what a smart comedian does. And they can actually do jokes about things that that I couldn't do, because people would expect me to know about them. It's like I remember watching. You've ever seen Robin Williams doing jokes about, in 2002, Robin Williams was doing jokes that presumably he probably stole from someone, but he was doing jokes about the World Cup and soccer. and he was doing jokes that to hear an American do were very funny, you know. Or yeah, and but I couldn't do it because people would expect me to know those things. But you know, I've watched Reginald D. Hunter, who's a big black guy from from the deep South, Louisiana. You know, and you know, and he does jokes about like living over in Britain, and he's like talking about like the weird kind of like things he does all these things like the weird stereotypes we have for each other and stuff. It's and I couldn't do that, you know, but he can. But like, it's funny to hear them sort of like talk about it, you know. And people want to see different, you know, they want to hear and see different points of view. You know, they don't just want to see the same people doing the same jokes about the same, you know, about stuff. You know, they want to see, you know, and hear different, you know, hear from as many. You know, I used to book comedy clubs, mate. I used to run my own comedy clubs for several years. I used to run 5 venues a month, and I was booking, you know, and every venue and every lineup would have 4 acts, and I would try to make sure each one was as different as possible. I didn't want any, I didn't want any sort of uniformity for it. You know, I know it's different, but that's good. Different's good. You know. Yeah, but comedy. You're talking. Yeah, but it's the problem. Using no word. You're talking about you. You're thinking about what works for you. I don't think like that about comedy. I think about what, you know. Like, there are comedians I may not be a massive fan of, but clearly they're very successful, and a lot of people like them. So that doesn't matter what I think. You know, that doesn't matter what I think. You know, I have to look at it and go, well, clearly, you know. Who's my favourite Canadian comedian? I quite like Glenn Wall. My favourite last year, the best show I saw last year was Anthony Jeselnik. I think he's fantastic. He's got 2 Netflix shows, and if you've got Netflix, you should watch both of them, particularly the second one. He's incredible. What I love about, and the reason I love him is because, you know, whenever you hear, you know, you should watch him, and then anytime you hear someone say, "Oh, these days comedy's too PC, you can't do jokes about this, that, and the other," you go, "Watch this geezer." I don't remember that. Yeah, I mean, Robin Williams is someone that, you know, don't get me wrong. Robin Williams was an incredible performer and just, you know, insanely talented. The fact is, and it's, you know, it's something that, you know, a lot of people, you know, don't know, or just know. He was also a notorious joke thief. Like, he's like one of, you know, possibly for, like, you know, a guy who was as famous as he was, possibly one of the most, you know, prolific, you know, and well known for just stealing other people's material. You know, he wasn't accused of plagiarism, mate. He outright stole. It's not plagiarism. He stole people's material. You know, he would fuck. You know, he did it all the fucking time. You know. Yeah, but again, you, Nerd, you're talking about what you find. And again, I'm not interested. You know, again, what you think. Whether you find someone, I don't even have to find someone likable to find them funny. You know, sometimes it's not, you know, about what did he consciously steal? Yes. He went to fucking, when he was doing Saturday Night Live, in the 80s. He would go to comedy clubs during the week, watch loads of different shows, and whatever material he liked, he would go and do it on Saturday Night Live. And it got to the point where comedians were performing in clubs, and they would see Robin Williams come in and sit in the audience. They said, "I'm not going out there. I'm not performing with him," because yeah, he did, and he got fucking. There's a lot of comedians fucking, you know, grabbed. You know, he got banned from going to a lot of comedy clubs. He's even admitted this. He's even admitted that he fucking stole. You know, No, dude, Houston, you cannot make an excuse for this. I'm sorry. There's no excuse for doing coke. I did cocaine, right? I did cocaine and lots of stuff. I never stole anyone else's material, right? I never lifted. He went out of his way to deliberately use material that was not his, right? And sometimes he would then, when he had done it, he would go and compensate the comedian, but that's not always enough, having someone, steal your joke, because it's, because these are, jokes can, when you've got a good joke that fucking works, you want that. That's going to be, you don't just want to sell it, being, you don't, the idea that someone could just do it and then sell it to you. No, yeah, but you know, no, I'm sorry, I've been doing this 20 years, mate, I've been doing this for 20 years, he did it, he even admitted to this, he admitted to doing this, and it's, and there's loads of fucking, there's loads of examples, and, I see people bust on, and quite rightly, I mean, I see people bust on people like Amy Schumer, because she's got lots of material that sounds, remarkably similar to other jokes, on other comedians' material and that. But, it's just kind of weird that he gets away with that, My Nemesis video. I don't know what you mean, mate. Yeah, well, Carlos Mencias, but, I tell you what, I mean, that is like, people can say what they want about Joe Rogan. That was brilliant, No, you are really breaking this down in ways that are that are not, talking in a style of someone is not plagiarizing or nicking something. It might just be the way you fucking talk, or it might be the way you're more comfortable. I'm talking about the actual joke. That's all that matters. If I found out there was someone out there who was talking and dressing and and talking like that, I wouldn't give a shit. If they're doing their own gags, that's fine. You're really sort of like trying to break this down in ways into a way that doesn't need to be done. I mean, I had a mate. Sometimes you do get situations, and I know, most comedians I know this has happened to, where you actually do write a joke that several other comedians have also thought of. And they tend to be jokes that are very simple, straightforward, and in a way they're quite obvious, right? I used to do this joke in my routine that I don't do anymore, which was a joke about I used to have a flatmate who was from Israel, and every morning I used to wind him up by giving him all of the post addressed to the occupier. Right, now I know 4 other comedians who fucking also had that joke, and we didn't nick it off each other because I'd never seen 3 of them before, But it's because we all sort of we all had the same process. We just sat there and thought we saw a letter one day and it's addressed to the occupier, and you make the connection occupier, Israel, and then you think if I had an Israeli flatmate, it's this so that does happen, And particularly when the person nicking it goes and does it on TV, because now you definitely can't do that joke anymore. And also the problem is that audiences, the sort of assumption with audiences, if they see a comedian who is who is an unknown or very sort of or lower level comedian who's not famous, doing a joke, and it's a joke that they saw someone else do. They saw a much more famous comedian do on telly. The assumption is that you stole it off the famous comedian, which is, I don't know. I don't know. I tell you this though. I will say this. I've never, to my knowledge, no. Which says a lot about my material. However, I downloaded. I think it was in 2011. I downloaded on iTunes. It was the 2010 live show that Steve Coogan recorded in 2010, And there's in one of the segments he plays the character of Paul Calf, and he does this joke, and Paul Calf does this joke about cigarette warning labels, and the joke ends with like, the warning labels are getting ridiculous. I bought a packet of cigarettes the other day. The warning label just said "You are a cunt," and that is all basic, word for word, the same as a joke that I've been doing since 2004. Now, I have no idea. Now, I'm not in what. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting Steve Coogan stole a joke from me, because I have no idea whether Steve Coogan's ever seen me. To the best of my knowledge, he's never. He's never been in the same room as me. But but the fact of the matter is, I saw. I watched this 2010 show, and he made that joke, and it had the exact same setup and punchline, almost word for word verbatim as my one. Now, it didn't make any difference because I still told the joke, because I'd been telling it. I had no idea. Yeah, but that's different. Yeah, I mean, that's different, Paul. I mean, you see that. Well, also, the thing about the internet is there's loads of sort of jokes that you can do, for, all the time. There's like jokes that fit on, on loads of different videos. It's, but also, those are the jokes that generally, when something happens, they're the first jokes that people tell. They're the first jokes that come to people's minds. And that's sort of like the jokes that you, as a comedian, don't want to do. Because they're the jokes that everyone's, that anyone's thought of, Gary Delaney's great. He's a bit more. He's a bit of he's quite conservative, actually. I think he's more conservative, Gary Delaney, but he's a brilliant. Oh, he's fantastic. First time I saw Gary Delaney was 2003. He was the support act for Jerry Sadowitz, and fucking hell, that was a tough. And he did it though. That was not an easy crowd. To be honest with you, I'm not too bothered. I mean, if someone had stole something from me, I really don't care. There's nothing I can do about it. It's like he did do the occupier joke. He did, and I didn't know that he was a comedian who did. I didn't know he was one of the guys who did it until someone sent me the link to the. I think it wasn't Mock the Week. It was Mock the Week actually. Yeah. Yeah, Steve Coogan's great. I'm not slagging Steve Coogan at all. Like I said, I'm not accusing him. I don't know, where he got that joke from. Whether it might not have even been written by him. It might have been written by, because he doesn't write on his own, And what's the most fucked up joke I've ever heard? Depends what you mean by fucked up. I mean, it depends. I mean, I don't really know, really. I mean, it's like, I don't think of jokes like, I mean, I think my entire abortion routine is as pretty much, I mean, that's 30 minutes as dark a material as I could possibly get. And it took me 6 years to write, Well, obviously fucked up and funny, but I mean, it's, like I said, it's, do I still do gigs? Well, not at the moment. Obviously, I'm still not. I haven't quit stand up. If that's what I mean, but I can't do. Obviously, I'm not doing gigs. No one's doing any gigs, mate. Fucking. I don't know if you know this. There's a pandemic going on. There's not really any venues open, and it's not. And it's fucking. I tell you what. One thing that you're not hearing much about is the comedy industry is fucking taking it. Is going to be basically decimated by this pandemic. Like there was an article, and it's estimated that within the next year, 77% of venues that ran comedy regularly in the UK will have stopped. You know, 77%. You know, the average comedian, most comedians are on average only earning the amount of money they were earning before from stand up. Like in the pandemic, they're earning less than 5% of that. But you know what that means? It means when we finally, whenever we go back to normal and we can fucking start rebuilding, it means there's going to be a lot of venues going, and that's when fucking greasy little fucking cheap bastards like me sneak in there. Well, you say it'll be good again, mate, but it's not. It's not as simple as that. I mean, it's because everything's got to kind of start again, and it's kind of difficult. Do you know the government? The government gave Tim Martin from Witherspoons £50 million, like in terms of benefits and helping, helping. And do you know what he gave the entire entertainment industry? 49 million. He gave the entire entertainment industry, right? Music, TV, theatre. He gave it less than he gave fucking the cunt who runs Witherspoons. Oh, no, comedians have quit. It's not a case of comedians quitting, mate. I mean, comedians can start and what comedians are having to do is a lot of them are having to learn how to do their comedy in other ways. There's a lot of them who do because the Edinburgh Festival was cancelled, for example, this year. But the guy guy I know, Alex Petty, who runs all the free shows in Edinburgh, the ones that I did when I've always done. They still did the festival, but they did it online, and it was done on live streaming. It was done in the same way. It had a brochure and that, and people would and that's the way it was. And that's the thing that comedians. There's a lot more comedians I've seen doing outdoor gigs and stuff like that. We will not be much more prepared, dude. What fucking? Maybe in Holland, mate. I wouldn't have minded if it had killed Boris Johnson. I'd have thought, you know what, worth it. No, we won't. No, we won't, mate. You might. We won't. There are people who fucking. There are still people going out there who fucking. There was a geezer on James O'Brien the other day, who literally he was literally saying that wearing a mask is baby steps into is baby stepping towards a dictatorship. I mean, that if you're wearing a mask, you are basically, it's like it's like being part of R. Kelly's sex cult. The way he breaks you down, it's like. Yeah, well, the problem is like, particularly when you've got a conservative government, they don't see anything in relation to art as being essential. It's not so they don't tend to give too much of a shit. But yeah, Piers Corbyn, what a special guy he is. Well, Leicester, fucking down the road just down the road. I mean, Leicester is like the next town down there, 8 miles away. That's been fucking. There's been huge sections of that, shut down, that have been on like lockdown for the fucking, for the last few months, because it's got it's had a higher. I bought something off some woman on eBay months ago, and she wanted me to come pick it up. I'm like, I'm not going there. I can't go there, darling. She's like, well, I'm going to be moving. So I'm like, well, fucking drop it off at the port outside the fucking parameter. But I ain't going to I'm not going to piss in, you know, not violating your fucking lockdown. Oh, by the way, just FYI, this would be just so some of you may remember a couple of months ago, I floated out the idea that I thought it would be funny if I, you know, basically, you know, built in my, you know, in my flat, in my tiny little one room flat here, if I was to build a half pipe skateboard ramp. Well, as of tomorrow, I'll be halfway there. Watch this space. Well done, Alex. Yes, that is what half of a that is what half of a half pipe is. It's a quarter pipe. I injured myself standing up once. What do you mean injured myself standing up? Dude, I've been skateboarding for the last, like, essentially the last year. Well, I spent the first 6 months riding on an electric longboard, and I've been riding a fucking regular, I've been riding a sort of regular non-electric ones. Yeah, I fell on the table, yeah. That wasn't my fault. It was a fucking, the bed tipped over. I've been fucking skateboarding like an absolute fucking demon for the last 6 months. Yeah. It's my new obsession. I've been consumed by it. What do you mean? When did that happen? What? It was several months ago. I was leaning. I had my sofa bed up, and I just leant over on it, and the fucking thing tipped over, and I bashed my sternum and my wrist off the thing. Probably, but that's it, you know. Yeah, I'll tell you what, that is not. But I'll tell you what, that accident. Fucking dead, you know, that accident, that's fuck all compared to the fucking one I had back at the start about a month ago. About a month ago, fucking I was amazed I fucking didn't break anything. I came off my longboard at somewhere just roughly the speed of sound. Fucking went fucking clattering into the fucking road. But I fucking took the skin off both my knees, my elbow, my hip, my shoulder was fucked for ages. I bashed my back up. How I didn't break anything, I do not fucking know. But I got up. Get better, you move on, you know. That's what you do, you know. It's what we skateboarders do, you know. Oh, nice one. If anyone hasn't signed up to my Patreon, you're going to want to do it because I'm going to be doing a lot. The exclusive and the sort of like early basically on my channel, you're going to be getting 1, maybe 2 videos a month if you're a regular subscriber. But if you're on Patreon, you'll be getting like 5. you know, and some of them will be, you know, some of them will be like, you know, early access videos that I will make public in about 3 or 4 weeks. Some of them would just be exclusive to that. So, who's the clown? That's Art the Clown, motherfucker. And if you know, if you think, you know, you can take your Pennywise, you can take your fucking, you know, you can take your what's his name from House of a Thousand Corpses, fucking Art the Clown, mate. That's your fucking, you know. Oh, fucking hell, pardon me. Yeah, Art the Clown, he's from a film, well, I mean, he's from several films, but mainly, he's the main, shall we say, protagonist, villain in a horror film that was called Terrifier, that was released, which is very low, but and there's not much story there. It's fucking, but it's got one of the most fucked up death scenes you'll ever see in your goddamn life in it. Can you ask you, Alex? Why are you asking me if you can ask a fucking question? You just have. That is a question. Just ask a fucking question. What do you mean one of my questions? Who other questions are you gonna fucking ask? Just fucking say it. Jesus fucking H Christ. I'm not a massive horror fan. There's very little horror that does anything for me. I tend to sort of you know, so there's very few horror films that do anything for me. But you know, so when so it has to be, so it takes a really. Is he scarier than the Joker? Yeah. Joker's not scary. What cigs do you smoke? The cheapest, mate. You know, Rothmans. Not because I've got any brand loyalty. Have I? Oh, for fuck's sake! Have I researched? No, I haven't. But don't worry, he's there. You know, he's in my. You know, his name is down. It's on a folder. You know. You know, so eventually, one day, I'll fucking, you know, probably get round to him. But just stop asking me about it, you know. Or because if you do, I'm just going to deliberately fucking never do a video about him just to annoy you. Ever tried molding it? Yes, I have, and I don't like it. No, it's not better. It's not better at all. No, it's not a guitar, it's a ukulele. You ignorant twat. Have I heard big? No, I didn't. I paid little attention. I like Critical, but I've been watching him for fucking years. But I don't pay too much attention to any of these stuff, these little pieces of drama they have. I'm not smoking a pipe, dude. I'm not a fucking... I'm not 65 years old yet. I need to get some chewing tobacco. Might try and bring that back in. They took a video of his down, right? Well, it will do. Your first one will. I mean, your first, yeah. But here's the fucked up thing. When you smoke long enough, you know, if you smoke for long enough, and when you quit, you get a sore throat after when you quit. So how was Critical getting this video taken down for promoting violence? How was this a win against YouTube? You said, or did I misunderstand? Some might say that sunshine follows thunder. Go and tell it to the man who cannot shine. It had that old clip of four guys dressed in cartoon characters. Wrote it. It's basically all over YouTube on much bigger channels. Right, but how is that a win for him? He's still got the video taken down. Dude, I've had the same thing happen to me. I mean, my Protocols of Zion video that I made, that fucking, you know, that I've tried uploading 3 separate occasions, it gets taken down within half hour. That YouTube won't, you know, that's for every fucking thing on that is a video I downloaded from somewhere else on YouTube. The thing you got to remember is, if it's a video, if the other videos are ones that have been up for a long time, then YouTube's algorithm isn't going to really care about them because they're probably not getting that many views. It really only focuses on videos that are new videos being uploaded, because in the longer and older, the longer a video's been around, played to YouTube, they change their mind. Right, but that's good then. Right, well that's good. That's fine. You know. That's what happens sometimes. You know, I've had that happen before, when I've had videos taken down and then you appeal, and then YouTube will put it back up. What was my Protocols of Zion video about? It was about the Protocols of Zion, mate. Yeah, I don't wish to sound patronising here, but there's a massive clue in the verbiage in which I used to describe the video. Yeah. And it wasn't just a fucking video. It was a video I spent a grand total for, you know, research, writing, script, editing, for everything. It's about 18 months it took. And if you watch me, you know that production quality is not my fucking forte, right? But this fucking thing, you know, this was the fucking avatar of fucking production quality for me. This was like, I was using green screen effects, layovers, B-roll, fucking, you know, I was using fucking background music. It was a masterpiece. Uploaded it, bang. Fucking thing. It took 18 hours to fucking render because I wasn't actually, you know. Sometimes, I mean, when I uploaded when I re-uploaded my Chris Lamick ray guns video, that got taken down by the algorithm. Took that down. There are mirrors of it around if you search for it. If you just search Dick explaining the protocols, you'll find mirrors of it. But what annoys me, is that you will appeal, and you'll explain why the video being taken down was wrong, right? And call me old-fashioned. I think a video that debunks an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory is not hate speech. I think that's the opposite of that. You know, so when they take that video down for hate speech, and then you explain to them like I'm actually refuting, you know, various. Oh, thanks, Yvette. Yeah, just tell everyone to fuck off. Yeah, it's because my show's, you know, because I'm not doing anything right now. No, but I did tell them. But here's the thing: they then get back to you saying we have reviewed your video and we feel that it still falls. I'm like, no, you haven't reviewed this video. There's no way you've reviewed this video unless the person reviewing it is fucking mentally handicapped, doesn't exist, or a Nazi. There's no other fucking, you know. Let me see if I can. See what. Hold on. Here we are. Hold on. I'll tell you what. Okay, hold on. Right, hold on.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, shut up, you fucking idiot. Yeah, hold on. this is the protocols video.
My name is Dick Coughlin, and welcome to the long-awaited second instalment of my series Dicksplaining, where I go through and document the history and psychology behind some of the world's most famous conspiracy theories. The first video in this series, which I uploaded about a year ago this month, was on the subject of Holocaust denial. I'll leave a link to that below, along with all the other relevant links that I'll be referencing in this video. This series was never intended to be an annual event. However, the reason it's taken me so long to complete this video is that I'm dealing with what is arguably the biggest and most complicated and most influential conspiracy theory of all time. It's a conspiracy theory that laid the foundations to some of the biggest atrocities of the 20th century, and it's a conspiracy theory that disturbingly is still, in some form or another, still widely believed to this very day. So sit back, relax, and let me dicksplain to you the protocols of the learned elders of Zion.
Pay attention, you're going to learn something here.
So what are the protocols? Well, the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, although it's had many different titles during the last century, claims to be a document that contains the minutes of a meeting that took place between a very small group of powerful and influential Jews. The purpose of this meeting was for them to lay out their entire plan for world domination. This came in the form of 24 protocols. Now, I'm not going to go through all 24 protocols here. I'll leave a link to a PDF document below that contains a copy of the document. You can read it for yourself. But basically, it's how you would imagine most people would write out a plan for total world domination, controlling of the media, controlling of education, controlling of the political system. But the important thing to remember is that this entire plan had to involve them controlling everything without anybody noticing, but also it had to be done so it gave the illusion of freedom and democracy. So, for example, all political parties would be controlled by them, and so no matter who won, they would still end up the real winners. Now, if you're sat there thinking that a small group of people controlling the world whilst brainwashing the masses into believing that they are free, if you think that sounds familiar, well, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion is the reason why. And whilst the Protocols of Zion did not create this idea or this conspiracy theory, it certainly did popularize it and made it more acceptable as a mainstream point of view.
Did you ever wonder why the Jews are such great proponents of democracy, whether in Indonesia or Pakistan or Serbia or you name it? Whenever there is some threat to universal suffrage, the Jews are ready to send the U.S. armed forces in and bomb and kill until everyone is permitted to vote. Why is that? The appeal of mass democracy lies in the fact that in essentially every country in the world today, the number of persons unable to think for themselves is substantially higher than the number able to make independent decisions. Those unable to think for themselves have their thinking done for them by the people who control the mass media. Which is to say, democracy is the preferred system because it gives the political power to those who own or control the mass media, and at the same time allows them to remain behind the scenes and evade responsibility for the way in which they use that power.
That was Dr. William Pierce there. What a charming man. In 1797, Abbé Burel, a French Jesuit, wrote a treatise in which he believed there was a Masonic conspiracy behind the French Revolution. Initially, the Jews were never mentioned, but in 1806, Burel was sent a forged letter which singled the Jews out as the reason behind the conspiracy. The protocols wouldn't be written until 91 years later at the request of Piotr Rachowski, a Secret Service agent, which was a secret police force for the Russian Empire, aka Guard Department. Rakovsky was part of the Okrana's French section, and he was tasked with the job of monitoring the activities of Russian revolutionaries in Paris, where he was based. At the time, the Russian Emperor or Tsar was Nicholas II, having taken power in 1894 following the death of Alexander III. Now, it turns out that this Rakovsky bloke was, as impossible as it may seem, a little bit fucking paranoid. I know, trust me, wait till the end. And as is the way with many people with a conspiratorial mindset, it seems that Rakovsky's paranoia stemmed greatly from the fact that he himself was what historians refer to as dodgy as fuck. For example, Rakovsky had foiled various bombing attempts that he himself had masterminded. He had had personal foes of his assassinated. He wrote letters denouncing so-called revolutionaries. He then published anonymous pamphlets that he used as proof of anti-Tsarist activity that needed to be curbed. The fact that he was stationed in Paris, which is 1,761 miles from Moscow, only made him more paranoid and allowed him to rationalise his hatred and fear of a guy called Sergei Witte. Sergei was the Minister of Finance and had been for the past 5 years. His service under Alexander III meant that Nicholas II held him in high regard and very much valued his input and feedback. And that pissed Rakovsky off something proper, because this Sergei cunt was a liberal. And the very thought that some bean-eating, sandal-wearing, limp-wristed fucking gaylord was influencing the Tsar of Russia, that just made Rakovsky really fucking angry. However, Sergei was strictly speaking not a liberal, but neither was he a conservative. Fucking centrist cunt. Sergei was the finance minister. His job was to come up with financial and economic policy that would bring in revenue and lead to the growth and expansion of the Russian economy. So if you want to look at it in a perversely ironic way, it means that Sergei, the guy who inadvertently led to the creation of the biggest anti-Semitic conspiracy theory of all time, was a Jewish accountant. Rakovsky began to shit his pants, both figuratively and literally. He was terrified about how much influence Sergei had over Nicholas II. His fear was that liberalism and modernity would begin to infect Russia. But this would only happen if Sergei chose to fully exert his influence that he had over the Tsar, which no doubt the dirty Jewish commie bastard would end up doing. Duh. And Rakovsky knew that the worst thing that could possibly happen for Russia would be for it to start being moderate and progressive and in some way fucking reasonable. He knew that the foundation for any good empire was rulers who were insane fucking nutters. So he needed to completely undermine and destroy any influence that Sergei had over the Tsar. This meant destroying any trust between the two. He also knew that whatever he came up with couldn't be simple or easy or obvious. Oh no. It had to be something special. It had to be a plan so elaborate, so shocking, so over the top, that there's simply no way the Tsar would ignore it, because if it were true, the consequences would be devastating. So Rakovsky knew he needed to prove to the Tsar that Sergei, like all Jews, was part of some devious plot to take over the world, and that their goal was to ultimately destroy Russia from within by making it more liberal and progressive, pushing it further to the left until it ultimately collapsed under the weight of its own degeneracy. Gay marriage, unisex toilets, toddlers on heroin, transgender cats and dogs living together. He knew exactly what he had to do. The question was, how? Here's how. Rakovsky contacted a man called Golovinsky. Golovinsky was a Russian-French journalist and political activist who was asked to create a document that would eventually become known as the Protocols of Zion. Now, presumably, Golovinsky was well compensated for his efforts, although I do hope that Rakovsky didn't break the bank on this case, because it turns out that Golovinsky was a bit of a lazy bastard. Now, in Golovinsky's defence, he had never claimed to be a creative or fictional writer of any kind. And I think it's fair to assume that Rakovsky didn't exactly give him a lot of time in order to complete this task. That, coupled with the fact that any journalist who would agree to do such a thing in the first place should probably not be seen as someone who's completely trustworthy in the first place. It's therefore unsurprising to find out that Golovinsky's document was not exactly the most original piece of writing in the world. To put it another way, if Golovinsky was a pop star today, he'd probably be the guy who was caught plagiarising music from Ed Sheeran. Allow me to explain.
Shut up, Dan.
Now pay close attention, because this is where it gets a little bit complicated. In 1842, French novelist Eugene Sue ended up popularising what became known as the serial novel, when his fictional series The Mysteries of Paris, or Les Mystères de Paris, were published in a French newspaper called the Journal of Debates, or Le Journal de Débatoire. These novels were overtly anti-Catholic and pro-socialist. In 1864, French political satirist Maurice Joly published the Dialogues in Hell between Machiavelli and Montesquieu, which was a satirical but direct criticism of Napoleon III's regime. The book at the time was published anonymously because criticism of Napoleon was at the time illegal. However, despite his best efforts to distance himself from the novel itself, authorities eventually connected Joly with the original text, and he served 15 months in prison. In 1868, a book called Biarritz was published. It was written by a German novelist who was a huge anti-Semite called Hermann Goethe. It was translated into Russian in 1872. In 1896, Austro-Hungarian political activist and writer Theodor Herzl released a pamphlet entitled Der Judenstaat, which literally translates of the Jewish state. He argued that the best way to avoid anti-Semitism in Europe was to create an independent Jewish state.
That aged well.
He then encourages Jews to purchase land in Palestine, although he also made the argument that you could do the same thing in Argentina. Whilst Herzl is credited with popularising the term Zionism, it's important to recognise that Herzl already opposed efforts made by various Zionist groups to settle Jews in the already occupied Ottoman land of Palestine. In Maurice Joly's Dialogues in Hell, shadows of the historical characters Niccolo Machiavelli and Charles Montesquieu meet in hell in the year 1864 to discuss politics. This would later go on to be known as Twitter. The noble Baron Montesquieu made the case for liberalism. The Florentine politician Machiavelli makes the case for despotism. The part of Machiavelli represents Napoleon Bonaparte. The two characters would have and share 25 separate exchanges until, in the end, Machiavelli wins. As I said earlier, Hermann Goethe was a notorious anti-Semite. His book contains a chapter entitled Meetings at the Jewish Cemetery in Prague, subtle, which describes a secret rabbinical cabal which meets in a cemetery at midnight to have one of their centennial meetings. The story and text of these two books was shamelessly and heavily plagiarised from and combined to become what we now know as the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. However, do you want to hear the even bigger, more perverse irony of all? The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion plagiarised Hermann Goethe's book Biarritz. Hermann Goethe's book Biarritz was found to have plagiarised several pages from Maurice Joly's Dialogues in Hell. And Maurice Joly's Dialogues in Hell was found to have plagiarised The Mysteries of Paris by Eugene Sue. So in summary, an anti-Catholic socialist serialized novel was plagiarized into a novel written by a Catholic monarchist, which was then plagiarized by a Germanic Prussian chauvinist and anti-Semites novel, which was then plagiarized by some bent journalist at the behest of some secret agents working for the Russian government. It would be funny if it wasn't for the immense horror that would be about to follow. Now at this point, I feel I need to make something perfectly clear. There is some disagreement about the true origins and authorship surrounding the Protocols of Zion. Not that whether or not it was a forgery, that is undisputed. But over the course of the last century, there have been many different versions and stories connected to how the Protocols of the Elders of Zion came to be. To this day, the original version of the manuscript has never been found. And there is some debate over who the true author of the original document was.
Interesting side note, that means that the Protocols of Zion shares that honour with only one other book, and that's the Bible.
We know that it was conceived and commissioned by Rakovsky, and we know why he did it. But it's not certain that Golovinsky created it. Now you're probably wondering, Richard, why then have you chosen this particular version of events and not another version? And the truth of the matter is, because I like this version. And therefore, it's the one that I'm choosing to believe. And it's exactly that is the reason behind the immense success of the Protocols of Zion for the last 120 years. Originally, the Protocols were first published in 1903 in a serialized format in a daily newspaper from August the 28th to September the 7th in a newspaper called Znaimar, which was sold exclusively in St. Petersburg. Due to the fact that this newspaper was sold exclusively in St. Petersburg, and because the content of the newspaper, and by extension its readership, was extremely anti-Semitic, it pretty much went under the radar as in terms of international recognition. That was until a couple of years later, when it was finally first published in its entirety in a full book. The guy responsible was an absolute nutter who went by the name of Sergei Nilus, who somehow managed to get hold of a copy of the Protocols. And in 1905 he decided to add it as a final chapter to his book, which was called, and I shit you not, this is true, The Great Within the Small, The Coming of the Antichrist and the Rule of Satan on Earth. The problem this time, however, was that now the Protocols was being exposed to a much wider audience, which put it under a greater deal of scrutiny. And to put it bluntly, Sergei didn't exactly do a very good job of explaining where the Protocols had come from when he was asked about it by various people inquiring. He first claimed that they were written in 1897 at a meeting known as the First Zionist Congress, which was held in Basel, Switzerland, which is where the book, as I mentioned earlier, Theodor Herzl wrote, came from. However, this didn't make any sense because that particular meeting was not exclusive to Jews, it was a public event and lots of non-Jews attended the event. So Sergei quickly changed his story, claiming that actually the Protocols was written over a series of several meetings that took place between the years 1902 and 1903. The problem with this excuse is it completely contradicted something the soppy old duffer had already said earlier on, claiming that he had been given a copy of the manuscript in 1901. This immediately prompted an investigation by the Russian government, which found that the Protocols may have been circulated amongst certain anti-Semitic circles in France as early as 1897. This therefore prompted Emperor and Tsar Nicholas II to order that all copies of the book be confiscated. However, this did virtually nothing to stop it spreading all across Europe and to all four corners of the world, in what may be the earliest example, pre-internet anyway, of what we know now as the Streisand effect. Although, to be honest, I'm a little bit hesitant to apply the Streisand effect to an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, particularly as it's named after one of the most famous Jewish entertainers. Over the course of the next 15 years, the protocols eventually would spread all over the globe. One of its biggest supporters was Henry Ford, author of The International Jew, who, whilst in later years would go on to denounce the book and accept that it was a forgery, at the time decided to pay for 500,000 copies to be published and printed. It also inspired Ford to write his own series of anti-Semitic articles that were published in his very own newspaper, stating, and I quote,
Just another side point, interesting fact, when Hitler was in prison, he took 2 books with him. One of them was Henry Ford's.
The only statement I care to make about the protocols is that they fit in with what's going on. They are 16 years old and they have fitted the world situation up to this time. By this stage, the protocols had become so well publicised and was so well known and being taken so seriously that it prompted an investigation by an English journalist known as Lucian Wolfe, who worked for the Times of London. It took him over a year of investigative journalism, but eventually discovered the entire thing was a forgery, finding out everything basically that I've already told you in this video. Wolfe published his findings in the Times of London in 1921. Despite the fact that Wolfe's article was 100% accurate and exposed the Protocols of Zion as the elaborate hoax that it was, there was one big problem that prevented it from killing off the Protocols as a whole. Lucian Wolfe was Jewish. And as we all know and all will have learnt from reading Protocols 9 and 12, which is nearly 9/11 when you think about it, you can't trust anything that's written in the Jewish-owned mainstream media. Even if what they've written can be 100% verified as accurate, you can't trust the sources that are verifying it because the Jews are writing the history books as well. And that's not a joke or hyperbole or me deliberately building a straw man. That is literally true. In fact, it's the exact same logic that was used to prove the veracity of the protocols at the time. As was written by some bloke called Adolf Hitler in his book Mein Kampf, on page 279 he wrote, "To what an extent the whole existence of this people is based on a continuous lie is shown incomparably by the protocols of the elders of Zion, so infinitely hated by the Jews. They are based on a forgery, the Frankfurter Zeitung moans and screams once every week, is the best proof that they are authentic." When the Nazis came to power in 1931, the protocols became mandatory reading for children in secondary schools. Even to this day, the Protocols of Zion continue to be published and read and sold, with the majority of them being printed in many Middle Eastern countries where they are openly endorsed by their governments as being 100% accurate. Now, it's very difficult in one way or another to debunk the Protocols of Zion. The fact it has no specific place of origin, the fact that nobody knows who exactly were the people in the meeting, surely should be some evidence. But the very fact that in itself the whole thing makes no sense whatsoever. For example, if this was the case, if the Jews had such immense control over everything, why could they not stop this book from being published and being spread as far as it did? If they had the immense control that they did, why did it take until 1921 before they were able to do it? More to the point, when these secret group of Jews were having this secret meeting, why on earth did someone think it was a good idea to take notes down? Why didn't they just sit there and just remember it? And if they did take notes down, who the fuck was this person who fucking managed to get hold of a copy of them? How the fuck can these people be expected to be believed to control everything in the world, from staging terror attacks, from staging wars, from staging democracy itself, and yet they're too fucking stupid to fucking, in their secret meeting, to leave their notepad not lying around so that fucking some schmuck can come in and go, were they having a meeting afterwards and be like, where's your fucking notepad? Oh, for fuck's sake, Dave, why did you leave it lying around? Many years ago, a conspiracy theorist said something very, very profound to me, and I was asking him about the whole idea of the Illuminati and the secret government, the New World Order. And he said something very profound to me. He said, if this conspiracy is true, there will be no evidence. Which is true. Bonkers as you may want to think he is, he's got a point. If this is true, then there would be no evidence. And how am I supposed to believe that the people who control the planet are so fucking stupid that they took notes down and then let some other cunt get hold of it? But even if that was not the case, the worrying thing is that in recent times, up until recently, even in the West, there were very few people who actually believed it. Even hardcore neo-Nazi, skinhead, white supremacist types used to say, well, the Protocols of Zion may be a forgery, but everything it says is still come true. But that's starting to change a little bit. That's starting to change in recent times. One of the more prominent names here in the West who has been an outspoken supporter of the Elders of Zion is this guy.
Don't let people tell you what to do and what to read. If you give them a read, and you can get them on Amazon, I think, still, and then just read them dispassionately, and then look at the world as it's been manipulated in the last over 100 years now. And they mirror each other. They mirror each other. So the Times newspaper wrote an article in 1920 saying, hold on a second, have you seen what these protocols said? And have you seen what's happening in the world? What's going on? This is too close. And so something had to be done. So in 1921, obviously under tremendous pressure, the Times newspaper produced a series of articles alleging to discredit these protocols as a fake and a forgery.
Yes, that's David Icke there, the man who believes that shape-shifting lizards from outer space control the planet Earth, along, apparently, with the Jews, although David Icke seems to be one of the few people who took the shape-shifting reptilians control the planet conspiracy as one that was meant to be taken literal, when in fact it was nothing more than a euphemism for the Jews. But here's a more interesting one. Even David Duke, a man who had also previously once denounced the Protocols of Zion as a forgery, but still pointed out that it still actually is true, even he's got back on the bandwagon with supporting it. In fact, a couple of years ago, he re-released it in a new version. And he re-released it in one of the most amusing reworkings of the book. He released the illustrated version of the Protocols of Zion. Now, I'm sorry, the Protocols of Zion, depending on what copy you get, on average has about, and this is with a bit of padding on either side, has about 70 pages. It says a lot about David Duke's fan base when they need an illustrated version of a 70-page book. It's not even a book, it's a pamphlet at this page. You could put the fucking thing on a post-it note for all I care. But ironically, that leads on to what is the even more perverse irony of all of this. You see, a few years ago, there was a debate between David Duke and a guy who I'm sure you're familiar with called Alex Jones. Alex Jones actually decided to debate David Duke, who he had railed against, despite the fact that he had become very unpopular and his fan base was not very pleased with the fact that he was rallying against David Duke. Who knew that Alex Jones' fan base would be very sceptical about the validity of the Holocaust and be able to fall for things such as the Protocols of Zion? But apparently they did. So Alex Jones decided to organise a little debate between David Duke and himself. And the debate was this: who runs the planet? Alex Jones was arguing that the NWO run the planet. David Duke was arguing that the Jews run the planet. Now, David Duke, unfortunately, mopped the floor with Alex Jones in this debate, because David Duke can actually point to people who are in high positions of power in the government or high positions of influence in celebrity, what have you, who actually are Jewish. Alex Jones can't point to anybody within you know, the government and say they're part of the NWO. Of course, he's kind of changed that recently with his obsession over the last few years with George Soros, who, let's face it, is nothing more than a one-man rehash of the protocols. I'm assuming all the Jews gang up together and form one massive mega Jew. But the fact is they're having this debate, and what's ironic about this is that the phrase NWO, the New World Order, was nothing more than a euphemism for the Protocols of Zion. It was the same conspiracy with the same nod nod wink wink you know who is in charge, but with a new phrasing and a new repackaging to make it sound like it wasn't so obviously anti-Semitic. So what you end up with here is a debate between two people who are taking opposing sides in a debate but asking about the same thing. They're arguing about the same existence of the same thing but in direct polar disagreement with each other. Now, before anyone wants to make any excuses or try and make this argument, first of all, I'm not going to listen to you. I've heard them all at this point. But let me give you a quote from someone regarding the protocols. I am the only living witness, but I must say the truth. Contrary to the opinion of the National Socialists that the Jews were a highly organised group, the appalling fact was that they had no organisation whatsoever. The mass of the Jewish people were taken completely by surprise. They did not know at all what to do. They had no directives or slogans as to how they should act. This is the greatest lie of anti-Semitism because it gives the lie that the old slogan that the Jews are conspiring to dominate the world and that they are so highly organised. In reality, they had no organisation of their own at all. Not even an information service. If they had had some sort of organisation, these people could have been saved by the millions. But instead, they were taken completely by surprise. Never before has a people gone unsuspectingly into a disaster. Nothing was prepared, absolutely nothing. Do you know who that quote is from? That is a quote that was written in an article in 1948, printed in the Journal of Criminal Law. And the guy who said it, who wasn't caught on tape saying it secretly, he said this to a journalist who was interviewing him. He said that to Erich von dem Buck. He was a commander in the Nazi SS government. He was one of the highest ranking officials during World War II. If one of the highest ranking Nazis in 1948 is able to come out and admit that the protocols is a load of old bollocks, then guess what? There's no excuse for anyone else at any point to believe or buy into the fact that this document is true. So if you're arguing that the protocols is real, you're disproving that it's real in the same sentence. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of this video. That is the Protocols of Zion explained. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please consider supporting me on Patreon.
Yada 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 yada. Diddly do. The end. There we go. I tell you what, Yab, if you want a recommendation for it, I highly recommend you get. And I've had several copies of this book. I need to get another one. But the William Eisner's, I think it's William Eisner. It's the graphic novel about the Protocols of Zion called The Plot. It's an actual graphic novel. Of course it is. Dude, but I mean, it's not just. I mean, that video. I mean, look at that video. Look at what that video was, and that's a dick. That does not look like I've made it. That had more effort put into it than every video I've made in the last fucking 12 years combined. You know, and that's what sort of pisses me off. Is like, I don't care whether it gets I don't give a shit about it being demonetized or anything like that. It's the fact that I put all that work in and it gets taken down and you just feel like, well, what's the fucking point? You know what I mean? You know what the dumb thing is? The fact, what I don't get is how come YouTube will allow it to be uploaded on, hey Lewis, on other people's channels. I even uploaded an audio version of it on my backup channel that didn't get taken down. So I can only assume it's got something to do with the actual with the visual content of it. And I kept asking. I asked YouTube countless times, to saying, just tell me what what classifies as hate speech. I mean, because the video contains hate speech, but the video is not endorsing it. No, I don't regret making the video. It's But the thing is, I just wanted YouTube to say, like, if you just tell me what bits are hate speech and what isn't, then I can just edit the video or rework it. About to have to go get a thing I bid on. Okay, that's almost a sentence. What did you bid on? You get some yogurt. My yogurt here. I was like, Froobs. Internet bride. Nah. You got it on wish.com. Yeah, see, Red Moon's not telling us what he's bid on. I reckon it's a second-hand fleshlight. No, it's been pissing me rain, and I can't go out on my longboard when it's pissing me rain. Don't want it hot. I want it cloudy. Oh no, I'm not expecting consistent. Look, I gave up expecting consistency or fairness from YouTube at any point in that. I don't expect that. But if I I mean, I actually sort of like, it was the YouTube team YouTube help thing on Twitter, and I said to him, I said I had this video taken down, and it's been taken down for hate speech, and it's objectively not hate speech, and I'm trying to get it back up, and I need I need to know. All I want you to do is tell me what counts as hate speech, right? Because if hate speech is just any hate speech, regardless of whether or not the video it's part of is endorsing it, then I can work around that, And they just didn't get back to me, and I'm like. And this was around about the same time they took several other videos down that were debunking debunking Holocaust denial, and I'm like, it doesn't look good to me. It's like and I was like, YouTube are quite lucky that I'm not a much more popular user, because if I was, I would totally be making a fuss about the fact that YouTube seemed to be, they seem to be consistently taking down my videos that are debunking Holocaust denial and debunking the protocols of Zion, and yet the videos that I feature in those and the other YouTube videos I feature are still up. That to me that makes that looks kind of bad, And if I was a bigger YouTube channel, could get fucking, if someone gave a shit about, I would fucking definitely be fucking using this against you, trying to fucking force you into putting it back up. You got to give credit to YouTube, though. I mean, you do have to give them credit for one thing when it comes to this auto flagging algorithm. Because we spent a good 10 years, 10, 11, 12 years, on this website, moaning and nagging and banging on at YouTube about how faulty and how flawed the flagging system is, and how they've got to fix it. And when they finally do something different, they made it worse. They actually made it worse than it had been. That's incredible, you know. You know, fair play to them, you know. Oh yeah, the YouTube strike. Fucking hell. Yeah, they've always worked, didn't they? Yeah, that's you, Colky. You know. Don't get me wrong. I totally get why they fucking, you know, they're trying to get everything done so it's all because because you know when you look at the actual numbers, the actual amount of content, you know, that is uploaded on you. I mean, it's impossible for, you know, human beings to fucking be able to do this consistently. So they've got to do it. You know, hold on. Where is this thing? I used to get the PDF every year. They used to release a PDF of like as much all these data and information and stuff. The platform YouTube currently has 1.9 billion logged in monthly users. 1.9 billion. I mean, think about that, you know. See why I'm a bit cynical when people say, we're going to have a strike. Are you? Wow. YouTube is the world's second largest search engine. It's the second most popular social media platform. I'm assuming the first one would probably be Twitter. Then no, that's not a fifth of the world population, mate. That's just that's more than a quarter. It's 7. I mean, you got to make, you know, it's logged in. I'm assuming that if you've got multiple accounts. You know, who smokes more weed? I don't fucking know. Who cares? I don't smoke weed. Who gives a toss? Here we are. We watch over 1 billion hours of YouTube videos a day. That's more than Netflix and Facebook combined. Here we are. Yeah. Oh no, that's just mobile. On average, there are over 1 billion video views a day on mobile devices. I was trying to find the statistic that tells you how many videos is it? No, a billion views, mate. Not 1 billion hours. It's a billion video views That's just, and that's, you know, that's just Tim Paul. A lot of that would have just been, used to just be amendum. The most what 93% of the most watched videos of I'm trying to find the stat regarding total number of yes, it's 2 million. Total number of daily active users. See, 30 million. God, there are 300,000 people. I say that's not a lot. People who pay for the people who, you know, who pay for YouTube Premium, it's like only 300,000. That ain't a lot, is it? Reactions to what? I mean, I've done reaction. I do reaction videos, really. I mean, I do response videos where I play videos and respond to them. I mean, here we are. The number of videos that have been shared to date on YouTube. There's more than 5 billion videos on YouTube. No, it's 300,000. That's the number of YouTube TV paying subscribers. I'm not too surprised. I mean, it's 15 quid a month. I don't see how it justifies that fee. When Netflix is $5.99. I mean, like, there are currently 50 million of those 1.9 billion. 50 million people are making content. So there are 50 million active YouTube channels that upload content. $5 billion videos watched today. Here we are. This is it. The number of the amount of video every minute on YouTube. 500 hours of video content is uploaded every minute. And if I'm doing a live stream, that's just, you know, I make up most of that, obviously. But 500 hours a minute. I remember when it was 10 hours a minute, you know. %, of YouTube users come from outside the US, or as they call it, India. Imagine having money. Don't be stupid. Don't be so fucking aspirational, Lewis. That's quite incredible. Though. 50 million. There are 50 million people who upload videos of. Because when you think about how many, you know, I mean, like, even if you're subscribed to like 1,000 channels, that's still like, you know, that's still like 500 billionth of the amount of channels that are actually out there. So all these little communities that we fucking think are the world on YouTube, like. These little sort of bubbles we get in, you think, like, you know, there's fucking, there must be millions of them out there that just, and we just don't, you know, they just sort of exist within, they're like little alternate universes. It costs $6.3 billion to run YouTube every year. I could do that. Every year, the number of YouTube channels that earn six figures a year increases by 40%. So if I just keep going on, statistically, it's got to be me eventually. Yeah, 1 billion hours. It is 1 billion hours he's watched today. No, but there's more than mate. There are more than 5 people. There's a couple of thousand channels that have over 1 million subscribers, mate. You know, and you don't even have to have 1 million subscribers to be able to make. It's all about, you know, that's more going to become down to what you, because you've got views, you've also got sponsorships, you've also got you've got shit like you got merchandise, you got all that other fucking shit, you know. Trust me, there are a lot of fucking people out there who are millionaires from YouTube. Well, monetization is an optional thing per video. It would depend, but I mean, you know, the thing about ad revenue is, even if you turn it off, I mean, if you've got that many, if you've got enough, you know, when people moan about it, it's like, look, if you've got enough. If you get enough views that it's significant when your ad revenue is taken away, then you should just be able to get a Patreon, and you'll probably make more money. You know. I mean, I remember when like you getting the YouTube partnership program was around in like 2008. That's when I got, you know, which was the only way you could get adverts, and around then you were looking at like, for every 1,000 views, you'd get like $1.50, $2. Now, you know, you're looking at, you know, but now you're looking at like 10 plus. You know, there's some people that, like, you know, they're going to earn an average of $10 per 1,000 views. If you're one of those people, I mean, if you just get 10,000 views, you know, 10,000 views will get you $100. So if you just get if you just do, you know, if you can do 8 videos that get 10,000 plus, you know, that's fucking, it's nearly $1,000 right there. Yeah, but I mean, you'll also get yeah, but YouTuber movies, how many of them are actually fucking, you know, any good? But you also get things like, you know, you get sponsorships, like you get people who get, like, a lot of channels that are big enough, like a lot of channels, like if their videos contain content that they know YouTube won't monetize, they'll get a sponsor. I don't know if anyone here watches the channel Dead Meat, with that guy who does the kill count on horror films. Like, I mean, he literally said, like, he has certain films he reviews. He's going like, there's no way this is getting monetized, so I've got a sponsor for this video, and it's like, blah 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 blah. And he does his fucking they do the sponsor thing. The thing about it is, I've learned one thing I've learned over the years is that there is no idea that couldn't potentially, become a successful or popular YouTube niche subgenre. Because if you think about the amount of things that you watch on YouTube, the sort of like things that the sort of genres of YouTube video or types of YouTube video, like unboxings. Someone told you that you can have channels where you literally like get something expensive and nice, and you film yourself taking it out of the fucking box and looking at it, and you can have a whole channel on that and people watch it, Or like fucking, one channel I watch is these 3 Australian geezers called How Ridiculous, and all they do, right? They go to this site where there's this 45-meter tower, and all they do is drop something massive on top of something else. Like they'll have a giant axe blade landing on a fridge, or they'll chuck a car onto a giant trampoline, or and that's all they do every video. They just chuck stuff off a tower onto something else. And they got 6 million fucking. If someone described ASMR to you, you'd be like, or if you'd thought of ASMR, you'd sit there and go, that's fucking stupid. Who's going to watch that shit? But people do, Oh no, the slow-mo one's a bit different. I was a bit cynical about the slow-mo thing, but I do actually find it quite fascinating because it is quite interesting to like how it changes, like watching certain things work in slow-mo and stuff like that. It is quite interesting to watch because you do see all the bits that you don't see, when you see stuff normal speed. Here's a funny one. Do you want to know something funny? Because I've mentioned this before, but a lot of people probably might not remember this. Does anyone? I'm assuming everyone here remembers the YouTuber Fringe Elements, Stodels. The guy who used to be a anti-statist or an anarchist, and then he just became a full-blown. Then he stopped pretending and stopped hiding, and just came out as a full-blown white nationalist. This is a fun one. I found a channel of one of his like smaller side channels that he had, and I found I can't even remember how I came across it, but it was a channel. It was a YouTube channel under his real. It was called Not Ryan Falk. Ryan Falk is his name, but this channel was called Not Ryan Falk, and all he had on this channel was hypnosis videos. Like it was videos of him like doing these like doing these spiels, like it was like 10-minute long videos, like video to help you quit smoking, video to hypnosis video to help you. I shit you not, Fringe Elements had a hypnosis fucking chat, and you'd think if he believed that actually works, then why don't you just use it to fucking convince us that that the bell curve is real, and that segregation is a good idea. Why don't you do that? I don't know. Well, let's find out, shall we? Well, we're on YouTube, so why don't we find out? I haven't visited it for a long, long time. Yep, here it is. Hold on. Here it is. Not Ryan Falk. Videos. Here we are. Hypnosis for procrastination. Oh fuck! I've been meaning to get round to watching that. Hypnosis for overeating. Just do meth. It'd be a lot easier. Hypnosis for exercise. Hypnosis for social anxiety. Hypnosis for sleep/insomnia. I just prefer watching his normal videos to help myself pass out and go to sleep. And when I say anarchist, he was an anti-statist. Yeah, he was he sort of danced around bits, but he was more of a like. I remember Amendum used to call him Steph Botlett because he basically got all. He just basically was a discount. I'll tell you what. Let's have a go then. Let's do the sleep. Let's do the hypnosis for sleep one, and let's see how well this fucking thing works. Right. Hold on. Right. Okay. So I should now, hold on. I should now be in the corner. Yep. Okay. What if we fall asleep? To be honest, Dan, I wouldn't give a shit. Just make sure you've liked the video before I start playing this. Okay. Get the microphone away from the let me make sure the desktop audio. Yep. Here we go. Strap yourself in, folks. Relax. Get yourself in position. Paul McKenna, take it away, son.
This is going to be a hypnosis video for sleep. I recommend minimizing this video, nothing to see here, but
Yep,
me
I agree with
talking into a camera, reading
Yeah.
off of a script.
I would do that to all these videos. Yeah.
This is not a relaxation video.
No, this is not.
This
Okay,
is a sleep
you
video
don't want to relax when you're
designed to
sleeping.
get you to sleep.
Designed to get you to sleep, not to relax.
Before starting this video, be sure you have the first 10 minutes of your day tomorrow planned out.
My first
what
10
clothes
minutes. Right.
you're going to wear, or what breakfast
I'm in
you're
them
going
now.
to eat. Maybe not get it ready, but know what you're going to eat, and it's all
Yeah,
there.
so-
Have everything out, and so
Everything
you
out.
don't
Get it
have
out.
to
Get it out, lads.
think at first.
So I
You
don't have
just
to
wake
worry
up
because obviously I'm
and just
panicked.
kind of ride along, because
Most people get up in the morning in panic and go, "Oh my God, clothes!
taken care of.
Fucking breakfast!"
So
no!
just pause this video while you do that, so you know what needs to be done, and I'll be waiting here.
Okay. You could just
Now that you've done that,
yes. Now we've done that, haven't we?
the first thing you need to do is set up a barrier.
Set up a barrier.
And to do
a
this,
border.
I want
He's
you to
obsessed,
count
isn't he? He's obsessed
from
with
1 to
segregation.
60. So let's go. 1, 2,
Oh,
3,
barrier.
4,
4,
5,
5. Get out the black. Yeah.
6,
Build the wall. Build that
7,
wall.
8,
8, 9.
9,
Here comes 10.
10,
Right.
11,
11. No, we're all learning
12.
something. 12.
13,
13.
14,
It's fascinating, this, isn't it?
15,
16.
16,
16. 17.
17,
18.
18,
I didn't know he could count this high, to be fair. He's
19,
19.
20.
14.
Now
88.
stop.
Stop.
That's 1/3 of a minute.
Well done.
It's good to be prepared, but you must decide how long you want to mentally prepare.
This minute is still
and
going.
when it is appropriate to worry.
Of course he's reading off a script. I would have expected
You
him to.
don't need to worry at all until 10 minutes before you're supposed to wake up.
Right, so I've got 10 minutes, then I can shit myself.
So, a problem may be that you're setting the planning period too
Maybe I should
early,
plan
because
ahead
right
more
now,
than 10 minutes of my
it's
life.
time to go
you know.
to sleep.
Couldn't this be a good
So
idea,
just sleep
rather than
until
sleeping?
it's time to worry. Now, follow my instructions very closely now. The first thing you need to do is take a deep breath in
I've done that.
and let it out. Take another breath in and let it out. Again, in and out.
I beg your pardon.
Now just be
This is also
normal
how Fringe
and
makes
close
love.
your eyes.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Right.
Now open them
Okay, right. Is that it then? It's a bit quick.
and close them.
Oh, okay.
and open
I
them.
don't feel like I'm sleeping really at this point. Yeah. I just feel like I'm blinking slowly.
And close them.
Okay. Okay.
Now, as I say these words,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to follow the story that I tell
Right.
very closely.
Very closely.
Pay attention.
Pay attention.
This is important.
It's important.
The embedded
I don't
metaphors
think it is. But
of the directions Nicole is taking
the metaphors
will give you a good lesson on what to do.
Right.
Now, Nicole
Can I sleep
was
like
traveling
this?
through the woods trying to get to her grandmother's house.
Mm-hmm.
She took a left turn at Sleepy Lane and a right turn
That's
at
a very
I
subtle
Road.
metaphor. That a left at Sleepy Lane.
But she realized she left her
A right-
basket at Sleep Lane, and so
And
reversed
she
her
ended up
directions
going down
and went left at
Morning
I Road
Glory
and
Road.
right at Sleepy Lane to get what she left at I Road. Then she left that spot and turned right at Sleepy Lane, thinking going right would be the right way to a shortcut.
Going right is
So she
always
went
the right way,
from
though, isn't
Sleepy
it?
and
Fringe?
turned left at Warmth, but this time left her basket right between Warmth
She's a bit
and
of a
Sleepy.
fucking stupid
She
cow,
went
isn't
right
she? Who leaves her
back to where
basket
she
lying
left her
around,
basket
for fuck's
and
sake.
proceeded right and left. But then found she left her map back at Sleepy.
What-
She went right
but
back
she's-
and found
Fucking hell, what?
around to where she left it by taking a left at Warmth and right at Sleepy, only to find herself hopelessly
I'm
lost
just getting
in a
anxiety
friendly
from how
meadow.
fucking forgetful
Not
this
knowing
dopey
whether
cow
to go
is.
left or right, to find right where she left her map. And she was left with only one right option and decided to sleep. You are aware of everything, yet you are not aware.
Right, okay,
You
that
are
makes no
listening
sense,
with
mate.
your subconscious mind, while your conscious mind is far
Okay,
away.
that's just
and not
literal
listening.
bollocks you've just said there. Yeah.
Your conscious mind is far away and not listening. Your subconscious
Okay,
mind
my
is
conscious
awake
mind is
and
right
listening
here.
and hearing everything, while your conscious mind
There's
remains
no such
relaxed
thing as a
and
subconscious
peaceful.
mind. This is literal bollocks.
You can
Okay.
relax peacefully because your subconscious mind is taking charge.
No, I can't because you're
And when
staring
this
at me,
happens,
Fringe. I can never
Close
relax
your
your
eyes
eyes.
and let your
This
subconscious
is why we need
mind
a
do
state,
all
a
the
monopoly
listening.
on force.
Your
Because weirdos
subconscious
like
mind
you
knows,
exist.
And because your subconscious mind knows, your conscious mind does not need to know.
So you're saying my
And you
mind
can
knows
stay
something,
asleep.
but my mind doesn't know. Right?
And not mine. where
I'm
your
supposed to
subconscious
relax
mind
now, am I?
stays wide awake. You have much potential with your subconscious mind. which
No,
you
I don't.
have with your conscious mind.
I've wasted potential.
You can remember everything that happened with your subconscious mind, but
No,
you
I
cannot
cannot.
remember everything with your conscious mind.
Right, what use
You
is
can't
that
forget
then?
so easily. And with forgetting certain things, you can remember other things.
Right, I don't
Remembering
understand a
that
word
need
you're
to
fucking
remember
saying,
and
bruv.
Forgetting what you need to forget. It does not matter if you forget. You need not remember.
But then why the fuck
Your
are you telling me I
subconscious
remember
mind
shit?
remembers everything you need to know, and you can let your subconscious mind listen and remember.
No,
while your
I
conscious
can't
mind
let my
sleeps
sub.
and
I don't know
forgets.
what that is.
Keep your eyes closed and listen with your subconscious mind. And while you're listening, very, very carefully,
I'm
you
very
can
much
listen
awake,
and
you know.
sleep.
I did take I
As
did
you
take a
continue
load
to
of
listen to
I did
me,
take a load of meth
subconscious
before
mind,
watching this. Was that a bad
Let your
idea?
conscious mind deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper asleep. Let your conscious mind stay deeply asleep, and let your subconscious mind listen.
Okay. Night night. Sleep tight.
Sleep.
Hope the bed bugs do not bite.
Sleep.
If they do,
Sleep
do
now.
a poo.
Go deeper to sleep.
Put it in a Cornish
deeper to
stew.
sleep.
Into the ambulance, drink,
Every
drink,
word I
drink.
say,
Fish trousers elephant, impy
every
kid.
breath you
Sorry,
take
busy bee. Diddly
makes
diddly.
you go
Daddy's
deeper
an
to sleep.
accountant just like me.
Deep sleep. Deeper. Deeper. Deeper to sleep. Deeper to sleep.
I'm still not
Turn
asleep.
loose now. Relax and sleep.
Is this technically an ownage video now? Because
Let a good, pleasant feeling come across your body.
well, I don't want. Don't
and
talk to
sleep.
me like that, Fringe. This
Let every muscle
just makes me
and
feel
every
weird.
nerve grow so loose,
I don't want you talking about
so
pleasant
limp,
feelings coming
so
all over my
relaxed,
body.
and so asleep. So asleep.
Yeah.
Arms limp now, just like a rag doll.
Just like a
Sleep.
rag doll, like a gollywog doll.
That's
huh?
good. Sleep now.
Sleep now. You can tell me all you want,
Deeper
motherfucker.
to
You can't.
sleep.
You, I ain't doing what you think. I'm an
Deeper
anarchist.
to
I'm a
sleep.
real anarchist, Fringe. You tell me to
Deeper.
sleep, I'll fucking rebel.
Deeper.
Deep. Stop
Sleep
staying
now.
deeper as well.
Go to sleep.
I don't need to know about your fucking filthy
You're
sex chats
asleep.
with Protean View.
Deep asleep.
Yeah. Is this just literally the rest of
As
the
I
video?
count From 5 to 1, you will go deeper to sleep.
What happened to the rest of the minute we were counting earlier?
5. Sleep.
4.
Deeper to sleep. 4.
Sleep.
Sleep.
3.
Go to sleep.
3.
3.
Sleep.
Sleep. Deeper.
Deeper. Deeper.
And deeper.
Oh, deeper.
Sleep.
Stick it in deeper.
2.
2.
Sleep.
Sleep.
Deep asleep. 1. Sleep. You're asleep.
Say your prayers, I forgive my son, till the salmon he come. Sleep with one eye open, holding your pillow tight, exit line. Where am I? All right, okay. Anyway. So yeah, this is, that's Fringe. So, obviously he doesn't use this channel very much anymore. Although, to be fair, 9 years ago, he only uploaded these videos 9 years ago. Back when he was pretending not to be a massive racist. And, to be fair, they got quite a lot of views. 37,000. People will watch any old shit, innit? And just say, if you wanted something else depressing about today, this channel here, Alternative Hypothesis, that is his Fringe Elements channel, and it has nearly 65,000 subscribers. That's the state of affairs, Isn't he, Mark? No, Spiker, shut up. Thing is, though, what if you had autoplay on and you end up playing all of his videos over and over throughout the night while you're sleeping, and it just and you just never wake up? There's a way to fuck with someone, isn't it? There's a practical joke. Leave a sort of help you sleep hypnosis tape playing on a loop. This channel doesn't have any content. I think it fucking does. No, it has no videos. Okay, where the hell's... Where's Fringe gone? Fringe, where's your stuff gone? Channel content taken down. Archive and all future uploads will be links. Sorry, there we are. Yeah, sorry. I just noticed. Yeah. He deleted them after the Molyneux purge. Yeah, I saw this. I just love this one. Request. Does anyone know any examples where blacks had better accommodations than whites during segregation? Like, how the fuck would I know? Oh, there was Leroy. Leroy had a pretty nice gaff, And there was Leroy, Denzel. Denzel had a nice place. What convinced you of racial hereditarianism and or to become skeptical of racial oppression narratives? Not who, but what? I don't know. I think it's more to do with the fundamental paranoia and fear that black people have much bigger penises than me. Gentrification is racist. White flight is racist. No, gentrification is forced. White flight isn't. Saying nothing about brown suffering. I've never heard it called that, but denying brown suffering is racist. Yeah, I'd say that, yeah. But being a white saviour is also racist. No, I see, you're kind of being a bit... You're kind of misunderstanding those terms there, you know. What are some more examples of racist no matter what? Well, you, for a start. I mean, because you are. I mean, there's no way round it, bruv. You know, you let's take a look at this pile of shit fucking BitChute. You can't spell BitChute without bitch. Here we are. Right, go on. God, this formatting of this fucking website is appalling. You've got to scroll down. So what, they don't lay out all your videos? Like, Jesus fucking wept. No to war with Persia. War with Persia. The context of the Pittsburgh shooting. I don't know what context a mass shooting in a synagogue really can be put in, other than the one that it is. I mean, robots are explicit, humans are implicit, whatever. Genetic beliefs. Okay, you can't have them. Right, they don't exist. How Germany could have won World War II. Really? Like, this needed to happen? You needed to make this, did you? To quote Eddie Izzard, you know, once you get into, you go towards the further east you go, Hitler never played Risk when he was a kid, you know. Refuting a bigot. David Pacman on race and IQ. Yes, of course. Of course, Fringe. Yeah. You're right. Yes. It's David Pacman who is the bigot when it comes to race and IQ. J.F. Garipi is a scientist. He may well be. He also is a rapist of disabled people. Oh, and he gets, and he's friendly with Christy Winters. Which you can decide which one of those two things is worse. What the British did to India. Fucking sorted it out, mate. You know. Oh my God. Update regarding a Richard Spencer. Wait, Fringe was going to debate Richard Spencer. Who on? What on? What exactly would be the point of that? Germany made themselves guilty of... No, Germany killed 11 million people and lost the moral battle, Spiker. You fucking imbecile. The fake country of South Africa. Okay. Well, all countries are fake by that logic then. You know. I mean, countries don't exist, really. Educating Sargon on heritability. Sargon of Akkad, dumber than Kraut. I actually would go a step further, you know. God, he's made loads of videos to Sargon. What a fucking weirdo. The Centre for Immigration Studies. Oh, go on then. I'll have a look. I'll treat myself. Okay, let's have a look. The About section. Got a funny feeling. Yeah, Border Patrol. Yeah. Is an independent, non-partisan, my arse, non-profit, okay, research organisation, founded in 1985. Wow. Trafficking drugs in bottles of water. Well, that's stupid. You wouldn't know. Just shove it up your arse, you know. Charles Murray, you know, not non-partisan, independent, you know. Jesse Peterson, non-partisan. Stephen Miller, non-partisan. Michelle Malkin. Michelle Malkin. Yeah, this looks totally legit. Oh god, now I've clicked on all his videos. That means I'm going to get his fucking stuff in my recommended, didn't I? Yeah, under playlist, but that's not relevant, mate. I mean, they're probably like either unlisted. Hey, oh, that's how ridiculous. Here, Incredible Hulk Fist versus Thor's Hammer. That's it. Dropping a giant hammer on... What we got here? No, I've managed to avoid it by the looks of it. Did you know, Spiker Hound, that literally nothing you've ever said ever in this chat is anything of any interest or makes any sense to me whatsoever, and it never will. I did watch a video the other day that had me on the floor and nearly doubled over in pain laughing, and it was just a hippopotamus. It was called World's Biggest Fart, and it was a hippo farting for about 15 seconds and shitting everywhere. And I just died. You know, that'll do for me. Like, see, it doesn't matter how clever you are, it doesn't matter, you know, how brilliant you are, how smart, how satirical, how, you know, outrageous or shocking. Nothing will be funnier. You know, farts are the funniest thing ever. You know, the end. Ow. Let's watch some videos of my people, my boys. You know, this is me now. This is what I do.
Drop in and you fall on your face. Old school, new school, it's all the same.
Oh, ladies. Oh.
I wanted to. Oh, I wished he'd stacked it there. Fuck that for a game of fucking jar of pickles. I love it when they wind up fucking security guards. Hey, Troy. Looked worse than it was from there. Go on, girl, nail it. Bang!
Yes, guy.
He's put a grind rail on his car. That is amazing. I'll just show off.
Shoot. Can we get like 20 minutes? We're just filming like this, it's like a... Can we just wait for the cops to get here?
They'll arrest
Yeah, let's call the cops. It'll be fine.
you. Just call the cops.
Cool, man. Thank you. Just doing your job. And, oh yeah, but you won't get fired if you call the cops. You'll be just chilling. No, but
Just
you
call
said
the
till the
man.
cops
You know,
come.
No biggie. You're doing
Well,
the job. I understand.
Let's just let the cops kick us out.
Let him arrest me. Go on then, bitch. Call the cops. You said you were gonna. Oh, you splash bastard. Thought we fucked that one up.
I didn't choose the Mongolak. The Mongolak chose me! Get the fuck out of here!
Go skate.
Hey!
You go have to send this to me too. I send this to me.
What's that guy doing?
Oh my.
I love pizza, yeah.
We meet a few years.
Who are you here to see today?
Sean Malto.
Who?
Sean Malto.
What if I could get Sean Malto to take you on a date tonight?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Are you freaking kidding? Do not play with me like that. Do not fucking play with me like that.
Where would you go eat?
Taco Bell.
Oh, bless
Are we
her.
gonna pick you?
Oh, I
my
love her.
god.
Where would we go? Taco Bell.
Oh my god. I can't breathe. Can
Sure,
I
that's
get a
what you
picture
lot are
with
like.
you?
Sure,
yeah.
Oh my god, my legs are
You ever met
shaking.
me?
First try. What, you got another hundo? That's 3. That's more than you got the last 5 times you tried it.
I just needed a fucking ollie.
Hell awaits! Hell of fucking waits! It's a 10 flat 10, mate. It's one of the most prestigious. I've never seen anything quite like it. Frankly, I'm scared.
Okay.
Believe it. Go through the window. Go through the door. That's it. You fucking know you have it. You have it.
seem pissed at everything all the time. Hey, if they're paying,
Walk down the stairs.
walk down. Yeah, it's not going to happen, darling.
Down. I just told y'all once already. You have to go.
I really.
En ese cajero automático, las cámaras del cajero, en los cajeros también. Paco Cerdán, estamos viendo otro operativo de los radicales ahí frente al cajero, ¿no?
Just a fat bloke on his
Sí, aquí en la ronda de San Pere, muy cerquita de Urquinaona,
seen a riot thinking this would be
reventado
some good
literalmente la cámara de seguridad o esa especie de también de alarma que tenía la sucursal bancaria. Han reventado los cristales y han entrado dentro. Están ahora como si fuera su propia casa.
I'm not saying that at all.
Yo, he smackled himself.
I was trying to see if I can find that that geezer who he had a fucking horrific. Actually, I think it's on my Facebook. Hold on, let me have a. Is that one of those geezers who whose videos like he goes of him longboarding down mountainside roads? He had a fucking horrific accident about a couple of months ago. Here it is. This is pretty gruesome. So this is not for the faint of heart. Now, at the point where he came off the board, he was doing 60 miles an hour. When he landed, he dislocated and broke his shoulder, which meant that he didn't have the strength to push himself up, which meant that he slid across the tarmac, his bare skin on his chest slid across the tarmac. And, well, this is what it looked like. And as you can see, he's ripped his nipple off. Bang, smack, wallop. What a video. He'll be back. This is right. Well, of course he survived. You know, he was never going to die. He was he would have to come off. He would have to. It'd be very unlikely. He'd have to fucking land very very funny. He'd have to come off the side of the road for that to probably happen, or he'd have to hit something. Hold on, no one's hit 100 miles an hour, surely. Yeah, fastest skateboarder ever, 89.5 miles an hour on a skateboard. Fucking took him about 3.5 states to fucking stop.
I was on a van trip. We stopped by this hill to do some runs, and I came out with a run of 79.5 miles an hour. And that's what really lit the spark for speed for me. I've just been refining my tuck, my equipment, the speed suit, just the way that I skate the hill. Road conditions, weather, all those things line up perfectly to go that fast.
Clear. Spot up. Clear.
Unless I was wearing a suit of fucking armour. Look at that boot on the back. He's got those wings. That's incredible.
Holy
90 miles, and that's not an electric board. You couldn't get an electric board to go
Holy
that fast.
Holy What's that reading?
Holy that's 89.41.
Oh, we didn't. Sorry, mate. We forgot to turn the speed trap
We'll leave
on.
that one off the radio. What's the numbers, dude? Did you change your wheels?
Yeah.
89.41.
Holy
They had to pick him up in a van to drive him back. That's how far away he fucking stopped. You lot want to go quiet again. Imagine if he jumped off and started Naruto running. When Bae says her parents are home. Plot twist, he jumps off and has Heelys. You can get adult Heelys. I guess I keep meaning to get. I need to get a pair of them. I found these shoes on Amazon. They're metallic pink sneakers with angel wings up the sides, with light up soles and Heelys. And I was like, what about the fastest unicycle? I don't know, mate. Let's look that up, shall we? Fastest unicycle. That's an electric one. That's easy. You don't want that one. Fastest electric unicycle. 55 quarter of a mile track in 1 minute. So what's that work out? That's a mile every 4 minutes. That's 10 miles every 5. It's not very fast. It's about, 14 miles an hour. Some of these fucking electric ones, these fucking mono wheels, some of these go up to 50 miles an hour. If you get some of the top, they are insanely, they're just insane. I don't know why anyone would want to go that fast on one of them. They are so fucking, they're terrifying. I think I've travelled about 3 feet on my fucking Segway unicycle, and that was enough for me. I was like, that'll do. That's all I need. I'll try it again in a month. There's no such thing as a modern penny farthing, Alex, is there? Because well, because it's not a modern vehicle. Okay, but penny farthing. Fastest penny farthing. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Why is it that you would think, wouldn't you, logically, if you were going to make... I waste my money... I don't waste my money. Most of the ones I've got were either, was because someone bought them for me, or gave me... And plus, a lot of the ones I've got, they're not actually that expensive. Or I get them second hand. The only one I bought that was... The only one I bought that was properly... that was brand new and expensive was my hoverboard that was 400 quid, which is the hoverboard go-kart. My Segway drift skates were 130 second hand. My unicycle one was 300, and that was like fucking less than half price. My electric longboard was about 120, which is about the price that you expect. They should make it like some sort of vertical thing, that kind of like a step with brakes. What do you mean you step with brakes? Dude, you've got brakes on a fucking... Look, it's on your fucking... Dude, you can't brake on with a longboard, because there's nothing keeping you on it. So you don't want to brake like you do, on a bike or on a fucking... or in a car. You've got a fucking remote control in your hand, and you push it up. You push it up one way to increase the speed, and then you bring it back down. No, you don't need something. Jesus Christ, you son, why do you talk to people, me? Like, I clearly know more about this than, I clearly have been doing this enough. I've clearly got enough, that you don't have more. What do you mean more control? You have control. Let me tell you, I've ridden I've ridden skateboards and longboards. One of the safest fucking things I've ever ridden was my electric longboard. I never ever, in the 7 or 8 months I was riding it, never came off it. Never had a crash. It's easier to control than anything. It's easier to control than a fucking non-electric longboard. Because it will only go as fast as you want it to, and if you want to slow it down, you can. You can't do that with a longboard. Yeah. When you're on a longboard going down a hill, right, you're going and you ain't stopping. And it will get faster and faster. You can't control that as much. You've got to control it by, with your movements, by carving or sliding. Whereas my electric one, all I've got to do, stand up and lean back, and the fucking thing stops. I can go up. I can stop on a hill on my electric longboard. I can go up a hill on my electric longboard. And it won't go any faster than I fucking want it to. So you've got the most control you could possibly ever have. Oh no, dude, I was like that. I was like that as well. I fucking, standing on a fucking skateboard, or a longboard, fucking terrified me. It took me ages just to be able to do that. Now it's like, it's just one of those things. You do it more and more. The more and more you do it, the more and more. The easier it fucking gets. You've just got to, you have to accept the fact that, that's the thing that most people struggle with is the idea, is the fact that you're going to come off. You're going to fall off. One of the first things, you look at any skateboarding tutorial video, and they will, and on the first video, one of the first, or it's either the first or second thing they teach you is how to fall. Guinness World Record, penny farthing, hour record. Here we are, this is only 11 months ago.
Last year, Mark Beaumont tried to break the 136-year-old penny farthing world hour record. It turns out that riders in the 1880s were not hanging around, and Mark narrowly missed the mark by 35.55 kilometers. That record is what's called pace, though, meaning that you can have other riders on the track to help you.
Why
Something
was
with
this the first design? You would think with a bike, logic would dictate make both wheels the same size.
which is a little at odds with the modern day world hour record. So Guinness World Records have drawn a line in the sand and created a new one. A true test of solo power, rider and machine, battling to cover as much distance as possible in 1 hour. So can we set an indoor hour record on a penny farthing? So Chris, I mean, we've ridden the track before.
Yeah.
And even coming in, it feels quite daunting. I mean, the banks are steep.
42% are the steepest, and it's a good 5 meters from the top of the track down to the bottom, and then another 2 meters for your head when you're sat on top of that. If you're brave enough to get up
Right,
there.
Dan, you don't fall off a skateboard the same way you fall over in real life. It's a different, because you're not travelling. You know, you're not moving at speed. Generally, you know.
That's 7 meters from the ground.
Mate, I'm absolutely terrified.
It's like going back to the track on day one, isn't it? I was so confident as a rider on a road bike or a track bike, but this is something else altogether.
This is a whole different beast. It was now our turn. We couldn't put it off anymore. The scene was set and the time has come to get suited and booted. Can we get a penny farthing rolling on the boards of an indoor velodrome?
I think these shoes are going to be a problem.
I want to set a record with a hoop and a stick. The fastest speed travelled with a hoop and stick.
Mark's just was set off, and it's actually quite difficult setting off on the Kutcher because it is quite slippery, seeing as we've got carbon road shoes. And he looked like Bambi on ice. Oh, this doesn't bode well. This is it's gonna be quite scary once you're getting going. But I think when you're getting going, you've got some speed. Fingers crossed, it'll be okay. But yeah, it looks a bit strange.
I just caught my leg on the peg getting off the penny farthing, so you can see I've scraped it down the side there and it's just popped out. Get a bit of ice on it.
Hank, with all his track experience, was next to try. And to be fair to him, made it look really easy for a bit.
Apparently there's no speed.
I took the corner too sharp.
Track 1, James Nil.
Track 1, James Nil, that's exactly right.
Do you want to take some home?
It's a bit
You're not Francesca Rossi, mate.
Sorry, mate.
For a first effort, that was strong.
I think, like...
I really don't.
I think when you get in...
I'm not going to fucking... You know, I'm not going to keep what... I don't care what the... I'm going to assume they did it. Cycling 950 kilometres in 24 hours. Easy. I'm just going to have a shitload of fucking cycling videos in my sodding recommended. Cheers, Alex. No, I don't think you're going to see hipsters riding penny farthings, mate. No. That's the only bad thing about skateboarding is Tim Pool does it, you know. But you know, you can't, you know, not everything's perfect, you know. Oh, no, I can't be asked. This guy, Emperor Lemon, he's got one of his videos. It's one of the best videos I've ever seen on YouTube. He did a video about it's about a 50-minute long fucking video about what's the name of that fucking geezer, the NASCAR driver, Darrell Earnhardt. It's fucking amazing, and I say that because I don't give a shit about NASCAR. I barely heard of Darrell Earnhardt, and by the end of his video, I was crying my eyes out. It's an incredible video. Dale Earnhardt, that's the fucker. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the trailer for it, but I don't have. It's on what's its face? Amazon. Oh, go on. Let's watch Ben Shapiro and Andrew Neil again, just for the lulz, just because it's fun.
Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
He has more than 2 million followers on Twitter, 700,000 YouTube subscribers, and his videos rack up millions of views. Ben Shapiro is a controversial US conservative commentator. In his book, The Right Side of History, How Reason and Moral Purpose Made the West Great, has just been published and was top of the New York Times list of non-fiction bestsellers. Andrew spoke to him last night.
Ben Shapiro, you're followed by millions of people online and on social media. You're one of the biggest names in American conservatism. What is it you think you're tapping into?
One of the smallest people, ironically.
Well, I think that there are a couple of things. One, there is actually a hunger for different ideas. The monolithic nature of the United States media is pretty evident in terms of its politics. People tend to agree on essentially the liberal point of view and increasingly a radical leftist point of view in the media. And obviously, I speak in response to that. At the same time, I try to provide...
Just a reminder that normally 8 out of 9 of the top cable news, highest rated cable news shows are always on Fox News.
Honest take on the issues of the day, and that means that I am not beholden to the Republican Party, for example. It means that I am going to speak out whenever I think that a principle is being violated, just no matter who is doing the violation.
I'm interested that you think there's a thought movement inside the Republican Party. I mean, haven't the Conservatives...
That's a snidey bit of shade by Neil there. I'm interested that you think there's a thought movement. Right, just the one thought, is it?
Run out of ideas in America. All the new policies, the Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage, the Green New Deal, they're all coming from the left.
The idea that new ideas are absent in the Republican Party is obviously untrue. We have a very strong debate that goes on inside sort of the conservative halls of intelligentsia
which is basically Ben Shapiro talking to himself.
What is the appropriate action to take with regard to the medical system? Should global warming be considered
not a policy.
A real threat, or should global warming be considered something that technology
neither of
will
those
solve?
Are,
and if
neither
so,
of
what are
those
the
are new ideas.
best aspects of solving that? No, there's a rich intellectual debate on the right about nationalism versus patriotism,
Neither
for example,
of those are
or
new
populism
ideas.
versus free marketeerism.
Neither
that
of
debate
those
is
are new
happening
ideas.
on the right. I think that it is intellectual sneering of the highest order to suggest that only the left has
What are you
new
going
and
to
decent
smear it
ideas.
with, Ben?
Some of the ideas that are popular in your side of politics would seem to take us back to the Dark Ages, Georgia, new abortion laws, which you are much in favor of, that a woman...
And this, you can see there, look at the look on his mingy little face. You can tell that's it now. He's just 2 minutes, 30 seconds in. He's like, you son of a bitch.
who miscarries could get 30 years. A Georgian woman who travels to another state for an abortion procedure could get 10 years. These are extreme hard policies.
Well, okay, a couple of things. One, I'm not sure. I mean, frankly, I don't know whether are you an objective journalist or are you an opinion journalist?
I'm a journalist that asks questions.
To judge.
Okay, so you're a supposedly objective journalist calling policies with which you disagree barbaric and
asking-
suggesting
No,
only
he's
one
asking
side
you
of the
a
political
question.
aisle
No.
has ideas. So I just want to point out that
No, I know that
wish you would at least be
His job
honest
is
in your
to
own
challenge.
biases.
Mr.
So
Shapiro, I know
are you
that
a member of the...
broadcasting in America is now so polarized that on one program you only have the left and another one you just have the right. My job is to question those who have strong views and put
Go
an
watch some of his
alternative to
interviews
them.
with Diane
Would you
Abbott or
suggest
people from the
that
Green
a
Party.
late-term
if you think that.
abortion is brutal?
I'm not taking a
Is it
view
a
on
brutal
this issue.
policy
I'm
to allow
asking
late-term
you the
abortion?
questions.
Sir,
No.
you just suggested that the pro-life position is inherently brutal and
No, he
terrible, so
didn't.
I'm asking you, as an objective journalist, would you ask the same question to a pro-choice advocate by calling
What
their
I'm-
position
it's
brutal
not-
What
and
not
I'm
his
asking
interview.
you is that why is it that a bill banning
doesn't
abortions
understand
after
what
a
an
woman has
interview
been
is, does he?
pregnant for 6 weeks is not a return to the Dark Ages?
Let's say.
What's your answer?
My answer is something called science. Human life exists at conception. It ought to be protected. Now, back to my question to you. You purport to be an objective journalist. BBC purports to be an objective down-the-middle network. It obviously is not. It never has been. And you, as a
chose to come
journalist,
on
are
it, you
proceeding to call
fucking
one side of the
poison
political
dwarf.
aisle ignorant, barbaric, and sending us back to the Dark Ages.
No, they said
Why don't
sending
you just
women
say
to
that you're
prison
on the
for
left?
30 years.
Is this so hard for you? Why can't you just be honest?
Mr.
Seriously,
Shapiro,
it's a serious question.
Mr. Shapiro, if you only knew how ridiculous that statement is, you wouldn't have said
Andrew
it.
Neil
So
did
let's
what I
move
call
on.
their laughing
Would you vote for Mr. Trump in
inconservative.
2020?
I'd certainly consider voting for Mr. Trump in 2020, just like I'd consider voting for
going
anybody else in 2020.
But didn't you once say that you'd never vote for him?
I said that I wouldn't vote for him in 2016. And then I wrote a column for National Review explaining the conditions under which I might change my mind.
You're a culture war warrior, isn't he largely on your
cult.
side?
You got one letter
you wrote
out.
once it was unlikely he'd appoint conservative judges to the Supreme Court. He has.
Hey, you were
Right.
wrong.
That
So
is
you were
true.
wrong.
And so I like many of President Trump's policies, even if I still have serious reservations about his personality and character.
In your book, you say that there's quite a key phrase, we are so angry at each other right now. But as I say, aren't you part of that anger? Aren't you encouraging that anger? For example, you described Mr. Obama's State of the Union address in 2012 as fascist mentality in action.
Well, I think that if you want to argue with the characterization, then we can talk about what exactly his State of the Union address said. Is it charged language in politics? Sure. The problem that I have is not with charged language in politics, which I'm generally in favor of. I like a robust public debate and a very loud and spirited public debate. I have no problem with that whatsoever. What I'm talking about is the assumption that people with whom we disagree politically are inherently of bad character or in your words, want to bring us back to the dark ages.
But again, it was your description of the State of the Union address in 2012 as fascist. There are plenty of things that are bad and wrong, but it doesn't make them fascist.
Well, I suppose that's true, but if
Well
you would like to,
done,
again,
Ben.
if you'd
See
like
what
to
you-
read me the column out loud, I suppose I can critique
I'll
it for
read
you.
your column, mate. All right.
Oh, well, again, with Mr. Obama, you said, and you're Jewish yourself. I only mention that because to put this in context.
You're a Red Sea
The
pedestrian.
Jews who vote for Obama are, by and large, Jews in name only. Ginos, you call them.
Ginos.
My statement was based on the fact that
Ginos.
Jews in the United States, as an ethnic group, are largely irreligious, which is true by every single poll. Jews are the most irreligious group in the United States. As an
I would
Orthodox
say
Jew who actually
atheists
takes
are the
Judaism
most
seriously,
irreligious
the
group,
point that I
probably.
am making is that most Jews who are ethnically Jewish are not religiously Jewish in any context.
No. The point you were making is that Jews who vote for Obama are Jews in name only.
I said that, yes, that is correct. That Jews who voted for Barack Obama, a progenitor of the Iran deal,
Aren't real
a
Jews.
person
See,
who
now
was cracking down on religious
see, now,
liberty,
if I'd
a
said
person
that,
who spent
I'd
much
be
of
accused
his
of
career as
anti-Semitism,
president of the
but he
United
can
States
say
attempting
that,
to deprive
'cause he can
Israel
call
of the
himself
necessities to
hating
defend
Jews,
itself.
which is a way,
that
which is a
people, Jews who
form
voted
of
for
a-
President
of a
Obama, by
Jewish
and large,
person
cared about
saying
Judaism far
something
less
that's
than they did about other
effectively
priorities.
Did you said they should turn their badge in as a Jew?
And as most Jews vote,
Yes,
most
I believe
Jews
that
vote
if you are
Democrat, you
I
would
believe that if
imagine
you are
he's
somebody who
insulting
takes Judaism
most
seriously,
Jews.
that comes along with ideological commitment.
I mean, I guess.
Also, I hope you're having fun, by the way, going through every old tweet that I've ever sent to try and do
Christ,
gotcha
no.
questions. But if you'd like to have a discussion about my general
You are
philosophy,
so
or-
lucky this didn't happen fucking a couple of weeks ago. I would have loved to see Andrew Neil sitting here. Now, you said here about, wet ass P word. Now, that a woman with whose vaginal juices are flowing has probably got a urinary tract infection. Now,
things I've done and say, I don't know, that's 2012, so it's now 2019. If you'd like to discuss something
it
I've
was a
done in, say,
whole
like the
7
past 5
years
years, why don't we do
ago
that?
you said that.
How about
Well,
that?
because your book is a criticism of how angry America is and how America has to do better. And I'm simply
I have an
trying
entire
to point
list
out
on my website, sir.
and
Sir,
how
on my list, I have an
dusty
entire
your wife's
website of
clothes
dumb,
are.
I'm
bad
simply
things
trying
that
to
I've
point
said.
out some of the things you've said that
'Cause
seem
I've
to me to help
never
to
heard of you
stoke that
before.
anger. For example, you said Israelis like to build, Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage.
Well, as I say in an article entitled, "Here's a list of all the giant, bad, dumb things I've ever said."
But Ben, you're in your late 30s. Can you not work out before you type something like saying something like Arabs like to live in open sewers and bomb crap? Could you not work this out beforehand? It's not like you were 14 years old, and some edgelord. It was literally like a couple of years ago. If you don't know that now,
is that dumb?
Well, yes, that's a dumb tweet, and not only, but it is also important to mention that the next few tweets clarify that that tweet is specifically referring
because
to the
not only
Hamas leader-
because he meant to say Arabs living in open sewers, bomb crap, and are paedophiles.
leadership, which, by the way, a BBC I've seen is relatively reticent to condemn.
No, actually, it wasn't what you went on to do and say. You are correct about the slur on Arabs. It's
He's
not
a
all
14-year-old
Arabs
on the
who want
outside
to
as
uh,
live in
well.
open sewage and blow things up. It's just Palestinians. You went on to say.
No, it says
then you
the ones who take sides
and then you
against
said
Israel
the
in the Israel-Palestinian
Arab
conflict.
population is rotten to the core. You went on to say, not Hamas. The Palestinian Arab population.
I say that by poll numbers, they elected Hamas. They educate their children in school that Israel should be obliterated, sir.
Right, and that's their fault. That's the fault of children, is it? That's the fault of those kids.
Honestly, this is a giant waste of time in the sense that the entire interview is designed for you to shout slogans or old things that I've said at me. I don't see how this forwards the debate. You talk about undermining the public discourse. It seems to me that simply going through and finding lone things that sound bad out of context and then hitting them with people with them is a way for you to make a quick buck on BBC off the fact that I'm popular and no one has ever heard of you.
The BBC never
not many
makes
bucks
bucks
to be
on
made
anything.
on the BBC, unlike American broadcasting, Mr. Shapiro. The point
You're
I'm
getting
trying
paid,
to
it
make
seems.
is that your words are highly designed to produce the consensus and understanding that the book seems to want to produce. That's my point, that you write about, Judeo-Christian culture and so on, but so much of what you've said in the past would seem to turn its back on Judeo-Christian culture.
You're lecturing me on Judeo-Christian culture after you call the pro-life position barbaric?
Yes. I just asked you a question.
Yep.
And I asked you a question, you failed to answer a single one of mine. Frankly, I find this whole thing a waste of time. If you want to read the book and critique the book, why don't you read and critique the book? If you want to critique me, you can think whatever you want of me.
Why don't you
frankly,
just try and answer the
I don't frankly give a damn what you think.
No, you totally don't give a damn. You sound totally like a geezer who's well not
until I briefed myself for this, but that's not the issue. You have a new book out, and it's an interesting book. But my point is, your book claims that
society... Well, it'd be nice if you would quote it from time to time.
Your book is... Well, actually, I've done so several times, and I'm about to do so again, if you would let me just finish the question.
Shut your fucking
Your book claims that society is turning its back on Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah,
what are those values? What are the values it's turning its back on?
I'm not inclined to continue an interview with a person as badly motivated as you as an interviewer. So I think we're done here. I appreciate your time, sir.
All right.
Well,
thank you for your time and for showing that anger is not part of American political discourse. Now, Mr. Shapiro, we'll say goodbye.
Apologies.
Didn't bat an eyelid. Oh no, this is a great one. Jeremy Paxman interviewing Ann Coulter in 2006. Just Jeremy Paxman doesn't even break a sweat, and he just rinses her. It's beautiful. This.
Your publishers gave us chapter 1, Ann Coulter. I've read it. Does it get any better?
Right there, opening question. We've read chapter 1 of your book. Does it get any better?
Apparently, a lot of people think so.
Well, I mean, I simply don't understand some of the premises in this. For example, you describe Darwinism as the liberals' creation myth.
Yes.
You believe the world was created in 6 days, do you?
No, that is not the only alternative to...
What is
it literally is.
Sharing a common earthworm.
Yes, it's just, what is your alternative?
The point is that Darwinism... I'm a critic of Darwinism. I think
Ann Coulter, well-known critic of Darwinism.
A restaurant critic without having to start my own restaurant. I'm describing Darwinism, and the only problem with it is it's an illogical, tautological theory. The evidence Darwin said would be there is not there, and in fact, a lot of evidence contradicts it. Other than that, it's a fine theory.
Nope.
Do you have an alternative?
None of that is true.
No, I think I just said. I'm just talking about Darwinism not being true, and yet it's taught as if it's science in the public schools. It is a belief, a faith belief, without any evidence to support it.
Now, you say that liberalism has become the state religion of America, and yet, looking at America from this side of the Atlantic, and you look at, your government's ban on embryonic stem cell research, for example, or we look at the postures of the Bush administration on matters like gay marriage and so on. That is not how it seems.
Well, in the public schools, for example, the government schools, a reform rabbi can't stand up and give a non-sectarian prayer at a high school graduation. Just this weekend, the valedictorian of a high school was giving her valedictorian speech. And the moment she mentioned God, she wanted to thank God, the microphone was yanked from her hands. She couldn't continue. The
absolute bollocks.
Audience obviously was upset by this, but that is the official policy of the government. We can't have even moments of silence because the children might pray. But at the same time, you have recycling, global warming, safe sex, taught
safe
and
sex is
children
dreadful,
being
isn't it?
baptized in it
Unsafe
through
sex.
government-paid
Just
teachers.
stick it in
They are
anything,
baptized in
kids.
the religion of liberalism for 6
Don't
hours a
think,
day,
yeah.
12 days a week in Los Angeles. Just recently, a friend told me that his kindergartner came home crying, angry at his mother after his first
they
day
always
of
bring
school,
up these
not even a couple of
individual
weeks
stories
into it.
that
First
just,
day
like-
of kindergarten, asking his mother why she had put garbage in his lunch pail. Why did she send him to school with garbage? And the teacher had instructed the students that the plastic that the sandwich was wrapped in goes into landfills, so it's garbage.
Yeah, right. So
And
they
only
taught him
children
something
whose
and the
lunches
kid got
came
his-
in,
got his-
in
got
Tupperware
So-
would get little smiley faces for being
what? So
friendly to the
he hurt
environment.
his mum's
That's
feelings?
just a crazy religious belief.
Well, on this question of the environment, you have a remark here. Environmentalist energy plan is the repudiation of America and Christian destiny, which is jet skis, steak on the electric grill, hot showers, and night skiing.
Yes.
You honestly believe
Can
that?
Hold on. Can we just go back there and? That needs to be a meme right there. If this had happened 10 years later, that would that is a great photo.
Yes.
You honestly believe that?
You obviously.
Did you have a question?
I'm asking you whether you honestly believe that.
This interview is just him going through a book, reading stuff she's written, and going, "Really, you believe this crap, dear? Seriously?"
Yeah, I believe everything in the book. You can
Right.
set all those
You also-
questions aside. Do I
Fine.
believe what I
Fine.
wrote?
All right.
Yes, I do.
So you also believe there is some sort of liberal hegemony in the mass media, do you?
Yeah, that's 3 books back. though.
Yes, okay.
And I won that debate.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, you're appearing on ABC, NBC, now you're on the BBC. I just don't see how this argument stacks up.
No, you're right. And with a warm introduction like you just gave me, no liberal hegemony there.
Oh man! Maybe not like
All right,
being
let's
nice to you.
talk about warm words. Let's talk about your description of the widows of 9/11. Do you want to withdraw any of those comments?
No, I think you can save all the do you want to withdraw questions, but you could quote me accurately. I didn't write about the 9/11 widows. I wrote about
You
4 widows cutting campaign commercials for John Kerry and using the fact that their
That's still-
husbands
that's
died
still bad.
on 9/11 to prevent anyone from responding. Though I suppose you could say I'm
You
wrong
did.
about that because there you have it. I've criticized and there hasn't been a peep about it.
But what do you make of the comment of someone like Bill O'Reilly of Fox News who says that kind of vitriol is, as he puts it, mean and counterproductive to the
That's
right-wing
Bill
cause?
O'Reilly.
Obviously, I think he's wrong, or I wouldn't have written it. Like I say, I believe everything I wrote in my book, and I'd write it the way I wrote it. Even with the strong
Can't deny
encouragement
that.
of Bill O'Reilly, his own Latin American poll showed that most of his viewers, certainly most of the people who responded to his poll, which he kept open for a week, agreed with me, with 72% supporting.
It's not helpful.
So you have
Much
no
higher in other polls.
You have no anxiety that many people will just look at this and find it so extreme and so absurd that they won't countenance a more reasoned critique of the liberal establishment as you see it.
The more reasoned critiques, as you put it, aren't the #1 book in America, and mine is, so I think I'm doing just fine.
Okay, Ann Coulter, thank you.
That's it. Just, okay, well, thank you, Ann Coulter. What an insane bitch. Here's Tom with the weather. Okie dokie, people. I'm gonna call it a night. It's been lovely, and I'll see you all later on the flip side. And remember, boys and girls, take care of yourselves and one another. And whatever the problem, remember, love is